It's the Rob Brown Show. Get Rob. Only on
The Fan Upstate.
Good morning.
And away we go, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. What I can promise you will be the single sexiest sounding radio program in all of America today.
Welcome to the Mike Francesca Show. We got two Mike Francescas here today. We're just going to be surly and sound like we need a lozenge.
Cut it down to a pack a day, boys. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. The Rob Brown Radio Show is on your radios. That's a convenient place for it to be, but it's also on your tablets and your PCs and your smartphones and your laptops and whatever other digital devices you might use streaming live to the world at thefanupstate.com, or watch us on the live stream, all 4 hours of the broadcast going out on the internet at thefanupstate.com, twitter.com/thefanupstate, facebook.com/thefanupstate, on Twitch, The Rob Brown Show, on YouTube, The Fan Upstate, all the different ways you can get in touch with the radio broadcast. And boy, howdy, do we have a good one for you today. Very excited about the program. And the good news for those of you that have complained relentlessly and unendingly, I can't yell that much today. This might be one of the most exciting and also one of the quietest editions of the Rob Brown Show in the history, the 16-plus year history of this radio show, the almost 4-year history of the Greenville edition. This might be the quietest version of the show that any of you have ever heard, and you're welcome, or I'm sorry, whichever is more appropriate.
I think you're pushing it too much already. So I mean,
dude,
we got 4 hours, dude. I mean, you gotta back it off a little bit. If you want to get in closer, I'll turn it. I got a little bit of play in there. I can get you up a little bit louder.
What do you say we talk about Jayden Daniels?
Who that?
Oh, just the quarterback from LSU who put up 606 yards of offense by himself. Just a guy.
I'm guessing he didn't throw the ball and catch the ball. So I don't know if it was by himself. I mean,
350 passing yards. Wait for it, Lonzo. Over 200 rushing yards.
That's all right.
That ain't bad, bruh. Like at all. So we're going to talk about my dog JD down at LSU, who, by the way, some of you may remember, some of you may recall back in the preseason when we did our preseason predictions, projections, and prognostications. I told you that I had a favorite for the Heisman Trophy this year, and his name was
Marvin Harrison Jr.
Jayden Daniels, quarterback, Louisiana State University. And every year, I try to give the Heisman to a non-quarterback every year. In fact, I was trying to give the quarterback to Marvin Harrison Jr. of The Ohio State University this year. Look, Kyle McCord's fine, but he ain't got C.J. Stroud throwing him the rock. And yet he's still, and this is very true, real good at catching it. I've been trying. In fact, I went and posted on Saturday, either Friday night or Saturday morning. I was scrolling around the social media because I'm a lunatic, and that's what we do late at night. Why did I say that? That's what we do late at night.
Yeah, it's pretty creepy.
I was scrolling the internet late into the evening, ladies.
Yeah, I'd add that at the end.
Sorry, what I meant to say was I was scrolling the internet late into the night. And I came across a post by the 4-Letter Network. And the post by the 4-Letter Network asked the question of America. It asked all of America, who is your pick to win the Heisman Trophy right now? Now, this was before the weekend, okay? This was before the weekend. But the question mark was, who is your Heisman Trophy favorite right this very second? There were over on Friday night, and I'm going to check again here in a minute because obviously it's had the opportunity to grow a bit. There were, Lonzo, 259,000 votes on this poll. Over 250,000 votes on this poll.
Were there any hanging chads or
nope,
dead people or anything?
Straight up Twitter votes. All right. And as we all know, here in America, the majority of our elections are conducted via social media polls. It's the best way to run a democratic republic is via social media.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure.
We're killing the game in that department. Over 259,000 1,000 votes on that poll, and Lonzo, over half of them at the time, over half of them went to Marvin Harrison Jr., a wide receiver. And I was like, dang, maybe he's got a chance, right? I mean, it's one thing that he's a wide receiver, but that is somehow, I think, flying in the face of this thought that we've all been having that it's got to be a quarterback from the best team. Ohio State is certainly one of the best 3 teams in college football right now, as you will find out coming up in just a tick under an hour when we do the Robbie remix and I take a look at the top 10 teams in this week's AP poll and we put them in the correct order, which I got to tell you, this week, not much different than the actual AP order. We'll talk about that in a little while. But I thought, all right, we're going not a quarterback. Still one of the best teams. Still one of the teams in the playoff hunt. But hey, at least it's not a quarterback. And then Jayden Daniels went bananas. The University of Florida may never recover from what Jayden Daniels did to them this weekend. All right? It's going to be 25 years down the line.
He did it to Florida?
He absolutely did.
Oh, that brings me more joy.
It is going to be 25 years from now. Lonzo and I are going to be hosting this show from a retirement community, rocking in our chairs and going, remember when Jayden Daniels destroyed the entire Florida program? Yeah.
That could kill the bit, but dude, I'd be 80. that's I don't know.
You got good genes, right?
Yeah, I do, but I don't know. I'm barely seeing the board now. What am I going to do at 80?
So we're going to talk about Jayden Daniels later in the show because, ladies and gentlemen, because the Louisiana State University quarterback, I think all he's got to do is put up for the last 3 games of the year. He's just got to put up his average numbers, and he better win the Heisman. But here's the fun part. He is not the Heisman Trophy favorite in Vegas this morning. Not only is he not the Heisman Trophy favorite, he's not even the highest-ranked quarterback in terms of Vegas odds right now. And I have a massive problem with it, despite the fact that I actually am a huge fan of the guy who is the shortest odds in Vegas to win the Heisman. And I'll tell you who that is coming up later on in the program. Zach says by the time y'all are 80, we'll all be plugged into the Matrix and you'll see the board just fine.
It's a good point. That's a really good point.
All right, can we talk about the fact that the Matrix actually sounds pretty dope? You're telling me that I get plugged into a program that I don't have to, it just is what it is and I can make anything I want of it?
Yeah, but everything
also sounds kind of great.
Everything tastes like chicken. I mean, I love chicken, but do I want everything to taste like chicken?
Zach said, baseball has designated hitters. Make Lonzo your designated yeller. Yo, Zoe can't yell right now either, buddy.
Yeah, it's not a good move.
This entire radio program is just busted up.
It's not just here. It's across the building. So
for the record, I actually feel great. I feel great. There's just it's like a combination of allergies and who the hell knows what else. Busy weekend. Just a combination of allergies and everything else. I sound like complete and total horse, but I feel amazing. Like I am jacked about this 4 hours. It just doesn't sound like it. All right.
You feel good enough to come around here so I can go home? Yeah, that's what I thought.
All right. So we got all that coming up for you later on in the radio program. I am quite excited, ladies and gentlemen, about a couple of other things that we're going to talk about in the show today, including, Lonzo, the biggest and most expensive I told you so of all time.
Yeah, I already know what that is. You know, I didn't see on the list, and maybe I just can't read. But are you going to talk about what happened Friday? Because it's pretty big. I mean, Burns, what happened, dude? Because I tuned in, and it was I think a little bit after halftime. It's like, oh, they got this, and then I went on with my day, and then found out that they didn't got this. What happened?
So, this is interesting. The Burns Rebels get defeated 27-24 in overtime by the Hillcrest Rams. And first off, congratulations to Hillcrest. Hillcrest walked into Nixon and played, I'm not going to beep it, their asses off on Friday night. Played their behinds off. It was, if that wasn't the best game they played all year, I'd be stunned. They were phenomenal. But Burns shot itself in the foot and did so repeatedly. They just shot themselves in the foot. It is what it is. They made too many mistakes. They had two different spots where they had less than a yard to go for a first down, and they went out of the shotgun, sent the quarterback under center, and had him take a direct snap with a QB sneak. A play that they had run, I think, one time, maybe two times successfully all year long. They did it twice in the playoff game. They fumbled the ball both times. First time they did it, they fumbled it on 4th and inside of 1. They did not get the yardage required. It was a turnover on downs. Second time, they needed a yard and a half. They had a minute and 27 seconds left to play. A first down seals the game because they're in field goal range. All they need is a Jacob Coleman field goal, and he has been lights out cash money all year long. They send Andrew Stevens under center. He fumbles the ball. Hillcrest gets it back. Force overtime. And then in the first overtime, they lose 4 yards on the first down. Second and third go nowhere. They go to line up the field goal, and it's a chip shot field goal. It's an extra point. And it's a little bit longer. It's like 5 yards longer than an extra point. They line up the field goal. The snap is high. The holder never gets it down to the turf. The kicker kicks a ball that's 8 inches up off the grass. It falls flat. All Hillcrest has got to do, make a field goal. They trot the field goal team out on third down to just go ahead and give themselves a shot in case something goes wrong, and they knock it through. Hillcrest played their lights out. Trey said, I was listening to the game. At the end of the game, it seemed like Rob got jump scared by a Hillcrest fan. It was not a Hillcrest fan, as a matter of fact. And I don't mean to put anybody on blast here. It was a Hillcrest coach. And the coach came into the press box. They stand up on top of the press box to film and coordinate and all that. Came into the press box, took his binder, like his coaching binder, started slamming it on the desk 5 feet from where our equipment was, bouncing our equipment. Bang, bang, bang. Looks me dead in the face and goes, how do you like that? And it was like, am I about to fist fight a high school coach on the radio?
So this was after the victory. Yeah,
this was seconds after the game was over.
That's kind of
seconds after the game was over. Hillcrest coach walks into the press box, slams his folder on the desk. Trey knows it. He heard it. It was like bouncing my comrades everywhere. Looks me in the face. He's like, how do you like that? I was like, not a lot. I don't think, all right, I'll accept it. I accept that.
It was close enough.
All right, I accept it. Lonzo's discretion on the yellow button. He's like, how do you like that? I was like, not great. I was like, you won. Congratulations. Goodbye. He looked over at me. There were like 3 people separating me from him. He was like, how do you like that? And I was like, congratulations. You won. Goodbye. And when I said goodbye, I don't think he liked that very much. And I'm like, oh, cool, man. Yeah, and for the record, he would have kicked my every bit of it, all right? He'd have smoked me. 100%. I'd have gotten laid out on live radio.
So Lane wouldn't have jumped in there for you? Or one?
I mean, he might have.
Yeah.
He might have. But that dude and I had, point-blank eye contact. He was like, how do you like that? I was like, not great. You won. Congratulations. Goodbye. I'm on the radio, pal. You got a jet. You got to go. You won. Go celebrate with your team. Why is it more important to you to talk bleep to the radio play-by-play guy of the home team than it is to go down to the field and celebrate with your boys? But hey, make it about you, big dog. Make it about you. It's all about you, Terrell Owens of coaching. Good on you. You got yourself on the radio. I'm so proud of you. Good job. Anyway, Burns loses second round of the playoffs. They're done. Season over. Hopefully see you next year. Had a hell of a run, though. Region champs, undefeated in maybe the most difficult region in football. Spur Daddy said, was that not pass interference on the last play before Burns missed the field goal? Oh, 100% it was. 100% it was, but I don't want to sound like a salty homer. Yes, Kamarius Bomar was running a little in route right down the goal line. He got absolutely molested by the defensive back, and there was no flag. Would have caught that pass. Scratch that. Likely would have caught that pass. Now, that being said, Spur Daddy, while that is correct, at the same time, there were multiple drops in that game, drops that had not been a problem all season. I think Armani had a drop. I think Kamarius had a drop. Couple of them. So it's like on one hand, you missed enough during the game that you shouldn't have been in overtime. But at the same time, and I've said this for years, I despise when people go, oh, one call blown in overtime or one blown call at the end of the game doesn't, it shouldn't change the game. Right, but it does. Despite the drops, despite the issues, despite getting no pressure on Hillcrest quarterback, Burns played one of their worst games of the year and still had a chance to win. Bomar 100,000% got interfered with, and there was no flag. That flag gets thrown. Burns is sitting there from a yard out, ready to punch it in and maybe win that game. But it is what it is. It is what it is. All right, we got to take a break. Zach said you just got to be like Logan Paul. All it takes is one lucky punch. Yeah, you got to be able to throw a punch, dude.
You also got to have titanium.
Yeah,
there.
I've never punched anybody in my life, for the record. Well, not like a fist fight punch. That was rough. You all right over there, buddy?
Yeah, I should have turned the mic off, but
no, we agree.
I didn't have time. I'm sorry.
The eardrums of upstate South Carolina agree.
At least I got my head turned.
Hey, it's true.
If not,
true.
you would be very, very upset with me right now.
That is also true. All right, coming up in the next segment, ladies and gentlemen, in my entire career, I've had a lot of I told you so's. Lot of I told you so's. The single most expensive I told you so of all time, and boy howdy, are you all about to suffer for it. Why, Rob? I'll tell you when we come back on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, stay right there. I got a live read to do. I'll knock it out. We'll come right back. Don't go anywhere.
any
So
home
there's
repairs
this
you need to take
advertisement
care
on
of.
TV for
Check us out at
a head shaving
repairclinic.com.
device.
If
like
you need a
handheld
world-class
razor
website
kind
or
of thing that you
technology
just run over
project,
your
then
head
I
like
would
this.
highly recommend
And in the advertisement, there's
AmericanEagle.com.
this
Call
guy,
AmericanEagle.com
and he's like
at
in the
773
car,
Network. That's
and he's driving
AmericanEagle.com,
while he's doing
773
this.
Network.
Hi, this is Mark Ryan with
But then
Offsides. We're going to be live at
there's
Ingles
a
Market,
transition,
Spartanburg,
and it shows him
8004 Warren H.
walking
Abernathy
through
Highway
his
this
office
Wednesday,
building.
3
Like
to 7
briefcase,
p.m.
like
and we'll be
carry
doing some trivia
bag
and
on,
giving away.
walking through his office building, still doing it. And I'm like, first off, how long does it take you to shave your head, bro? That you were driving and now you're walking through your office.
Maybe he likes the feeling.
Like a head massager, I guess. And then all his coworkers are like, hey, Jim, that's a regular thing for him. Like he comes in, he grabs his cup of coffee, he walks to his cubicle, and he just shaves his head every day the same way. It's incredible.
If his name was Lex, it would be perfectly okay.
It's
because you're not going to tell Lex Luthor, hey, that's kind of you. What are you doing, man?
Just incredible. I feel like sometimes I want to go into advertising. There's this trend on the internet right now where people, like, when they make videos, they mispronounce a word intentionally, because then people come into the comments to go, hey, dummy, that's not how you say that word. But every comment pumps their video up into the algorithm more, right? So people are like mispronouncing words or like hanging weird stuff on their walls so that people see it and react to it. And I feel like this is the television version of that. Kirk Cousins would not have said what this visiting coach said, Zach. Kirk Cousins is a better person and better dressed person than that. As a personal endorser of the Kirk Cousins brand of short sleeve flannel shirts from Costco.
Jumbo. Push the button. Race will know. Oh, three. Push 3. There we go.
I've been doing this job a very long time. This football season marks, I've got to go do the math, but I believe this is now my 16th year in broadcasting. And over those 16 years, because I'm old, I've had a lot of I told you so moments. I've had a lot of y'all told me moments too, but we don't want to talk about those. I like the I told you so moments better. A lot of I told you so moments, and one of the I told you so moments took place in 2000. Well, takes place now, but it started back in 2017. Back in 2017, the Texas A&M Aggies decided that they were going to hire themselves a new head coach. And not only were they going to hire themselves a new head coach, but in hiring themselves a new head coach, they were going to give that new head coach one of the most ridiculous contracts in the history of college football. And then just 3 years later, they decided that that ridiculous contract was not quite ridiculous enough. So they handed Jimbo Fisher a contract extension. They gave him a contract extension that pumped his buyout to, at the time, about $90 million. 3 years later, that contract extension has Jimbo Fisher sitting on a buyout of $76+ million. And here's the I told you so. They are now going to pay Jimbo Fisher that $76+ million buyout. Why? Because yesterday, Texas A&M gave me the single most expensive I told you so moment of all time by relieving Jimbo Fisher of his duties. Now, it's about time. Now, So that we're very clear, I don't revel in other people losing their jobs.
No, I think it's okay in this situation. My dude's okay.
The very next sentence was, unless they're getting paid $76 million to be relieved of their jobs.
Don't you wish that translated into like real world jobs? Like if you got let go here, you get a big old huge buyout.
Well, listen, most people in a contract situation, most people do receive a severance package if their job is terminated in real life. But I promise you, none of us are threatening a $76 million severance package. All right. Lonzo, I think his severance is sitting around 76 mil, but the rest of us not receiving a $76 million severance package. All right. We're just not. So Jimbo Fisher gets let go. Here's the thing about it. There's really two angles to this that I think translate to us who are not members of the cult. I mean Texas A&M fans. The first thing here is that you should expect your board of regents or your board of chancellors or your board of whatever to be better in their head coaching hiring practices. What do you mean by that, Rob? Well, this is where the I told you so comes from, okay? The I told you so comes from the fact that when Jimbo Fisher was hired at Texas A&M, I, broadcasting from down in the sunshine state of Florida, the great state of Florida, I went on the radio at the time and said, you're going to regret this. You're going to regret this, Aggies. And you're going to regret this, Aggies, because he ain't going to get it done. Jimbo Fisher won a national championship for the Florida State Seminoles in 2013. Except for Jimbo Fisher did not win that national championship. Jimbo Fisher was handed that national championship by Jameis Winston, Kelvin Benjamin, and one of the most BA defenses that's ever been put together at a college football level. Now, you can certainly hand Jimbo Fisher credit for roster construction and recruiting and organization and all that. But that team just was better than everybody. I can think of about 1,000 coaches that could have coached that team to a national championship. And how do I know that? Well, because since that point, Jimbo Fisher sniffed a spot in the national championship one more time. One more time. He had 1 year for the Aggies where he had A&M ranked, I think, number 4 in the AP poll. And they won the Orange Bowl that year. And that was it. That's it. When Jameis Winston left Florida State, and when Jimbo Fisher started flirting with the Texas A&M Aggies, Jimbo Fisher, and I mean this, screwed over FSU. Now, I was broadcasting down in Florida at the time. I was less than 2 hours from Tallahassee. We covered Florida State very closely. That's why I know as much about FSU as I do, because I was in their backyard. I covered FSU there the way I cover South Carolina and Clemson here. When he left Florida State, actually, let me take that back. In the 2 years before he left Florida State, specifically the last year he was in Tallahassee, 2017, Jimbo Fisher screwed that organization. Not because he left, because, hey, coaches are going to leave. It wasn't that he left Florida State. Coaches leave. It happens. It was how he left Florida State. It was the fact that in his departure from Florida State, not only did he not have a good roster put together because he had effectively stopped recruiting, but in his last year, he didn't recruit at all. He didn't recruit at all. And I will tell you now what I said then, the most expensive I told you so of my entire broadcasting career. If a coach stops recruiting because he thinks he's got the next thing lined up, that's the type of coach who's not dialed in. That's the type of coach who's not pot committed, right? How many coaches have we seen go from one job to the next? But most of those coaches, in going from one job to the next, most of those coaches are absolutely digging up until the very last day on the job. Because here's the thing, and we've seen it happen all the time. All it takes is one legalese tie-up, and their new job doesn't come through. And the last thing you want is to have your new job not come through, and now you're sitting with your old job, but a job that since you weren't, trying, you kind of got to jumpstart the program that you were in charge of already. And that's the problem. That's a major problem. That's a huge problem. Jimbo Fisher screwed Florida State. He goes to Texas A&M. And when Texas A&M hired him, not just hired him, but gave him a buyout that was after the extension, Lonzo, 3 times plus higher than the next public school buyout anywhere else. Jimbo Fisher is due more money to be fired than any other coach would be if they were fired times 3, and they did it. Why? Because Jameis Winston dragged Jimbo Fisher to a natty in 2013.
You know what this does, though? It's if you are a coach who thinks, yeah, I'm good. Look at how big my buyout is. Your buyout ain't that big. And if they're going to take Jimbo with a buyout, you're not safe. So say your buyout's like 30, you're not safe. Because if Texas A&M can do that, then other schools can also do it, and so you're not safe.
Here's why this is interesting to me. And there's actually another element of this that is going to make this interesting to you coming up in the next segment. But before we get there, let me say this. Here's why this is interesting. There are very few schools that have the financial freedom that Texas A&M has. Texas A&M has big-time oil money. They just do. That's why they gave them the buyout in the first place, because they knew they could afford it. They didn't necessarily want to afford it, but they knew they could afford it. They just knew they could. There's not a lot of schools that have that much financial freedom. There are a lot that do have financial freedom. I think there's a few consequences that have come from this. Number one, I don't know if this is going to cap, but I think this is going to make a bunch of schools reconsider how they structure buyouts moving forward, right? I think it does kind of cap the buyout market. But you got to keep in mind, Texas A&M is the extreme example. Texas A&M is to college football what Warren Buffett is to billionaires. Like, yeah, there's billionaires, but then there's that one billionaire, right? He's Jeff Bezos. He's Elon Musk. There's billionaires, but then there's that group of billionaires. There's that group of guys that money is imaginary to them. They could not spend every dime of that if they wanted to, because it comes in faster than they can send it out. That's Texas A&M. There's a very short list of schools that are in that category. And to be honest with you, I'm having a hard time thinking of ones that I would put there. Michigan, maybe. Outside of that, like Alabama, I don't even think Alabama's in that group at this point. So I think this is going to cap the buyout market, right? Because I don't think Texas A&M is going to do this again. They got a 501c3 that's going to be paying Jimbo's buyout, which, by the way, in the next, I put it in the sports flash. I got to go remember the numbers, but the numbers are stupid. In the next 60 days, Jimbo Fisher is owed $21 million. And then he's going to receive annually a check for $7.5 million a year until 2034. 1. Texas A&M doesn't want to pay that. More importantly, they've got a 501c3 set up, predominantly run by boosters, that is going to have to come out of pocket for that. And the thing is, whatever they do next, they're going to have to run it by everybody. They can't just have the president step in and go, this is my guy now. This is my dude. Now, before I get out of here for a break, I want to play you a little bit of audio. I'm going to go to clip number 1A, if you don't mind. Lonzo, this is a moment that I am going to 100% sit here and just cheese while it plays. This is my favorite moment from 2017 in the introductory press conference of one Jimbo Fisher.
Says here, Jimbo Fisher, head football coach, NCAA Division I Football National Championship, Texas A&M University. The only difference between Kobe's and yours is you get to fill in a date.
I hope I fill in a couple.
They handed Jimbo a plaque that was inscribed as Jimbo Fisher, National Football College champion, with a blank space at the bottom for him to etch in all those natties he was going to win. L-O bleeping L. Let's take a break. When we come back here in a minute, I'm going to finish up this. And I'm going to finish this up with an article that popped up yesterday about Texas A&M. And I'm very excited because I have told you guys that I like Macho Man Randy Savage verbal elbow dropping the Aggies as often as possible. And I'm going to tell you why within the next 3 months, you're all going to feel the exact same way. And I'll tell you why when we come back on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Not 1, not 2, not 3. If you get a chance, I am 100% sure I nailed it. But if you will preview clip 2 and make sure that it passes your highest of standards.
Well, seeing as how when I put these up, there was no clip 2.
Sharon Moore.
Oh, I see it now. There was a couple clips that weren't in there yet, I guess.
NBA on Sunday, the Knicks beat the Hornets 129-107. Charlotte's 3-6 with the loss. LaMelo Ball, 32 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists.
The Fan Upstate is your home for Furman Paladins football play-by-play all season long. Catch every game right here live. Download the Odyssey app, search the Fan Upstate, and listen anywhere on your phone. I'm Chuck Sanders with the Sports Flash on the Fan Upstate.
I have to admit it, I say traffic looks really great on the freeway. I
want to thank the Lord. I want to thank Coach Harbaugh. Love you, man. I love you, man. This is for you. For this university, the president, our AD. We got the best players, best university, best alumni in the country. Love you guys. These guys right here. These guys right here, man. These guys sit there. These guys sit there, man. Talk to him, man. Love you.
Thank you, Coach.
Love you guys. These guys right here. These guys. Love you guys. These guys right here.
All right, I think we're good.
Okay. Yeah, I did it. Steven, my guy. Dude, good luck today, buddy. We'll be pulling for you. We'll be thinking about you, my man.
Yeah, good luck, Steven.
100%. I mean, let's be honest. Lonzo and I are pretty much in just as bad a shape as you.
No, we're not. Stay off the ladder, Steven. Going forward. No more ladders, dude.
Steven, back in April, was it last year? Back in April of last year, I went to slide down a stair rail at the well, and I fell off backwards, and I knocked myself stone cold out, and I carried around a welt on the back of my head for like a hot minute. And since then, since that day of April of 2022, I have not tried to slide down another stair rail, and I never will again. Not because I don't think I can, but because I'm not going to do that again ever. And I hope that you treat ladders the same way. Like, I know ladders are pretty much unavoidable, but you should probably consider like maybe hiring a guy for all ladder related activities.
Or put on 50 pounds and go, because ladders have weight limits on them. And go, I can't climb up that because I'm over that limit. So I said, sorry, that's it's written right there. I can't do it.
But sincerely, dude, good luck today. Come out the other side. You'll be fine. We'll see you when you get back. I like that you scheduled it on a Monday. Just hang out in bed and watch Monday Night Football. I respect that.
I don't know. The offering tonight is not exactly the best, but,
Well, compared to that absolute barn burner we got last night.
2 equally matched teams. I mean, they were.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Go, Joe. The upstate seems to be full of the infirm right now. So, I mean, I'm trying really hard to think of things before I say them. And I'm having to stop my hand from moving and pushing buttons. I've already stopped like 3 mistakes so far that I nearly made, where my hand's just like, okay, let's just go ahead and push that. And it's like, no, don't do that. Wow. Yeah, that's
a 40-foot ladder. That's not a ladder. That's a crane that you have to walk up.
I'm guessing that thing is kind of wobbly, maybe, unless it's on the back of a truck and it's one of those.
Like I said, could CJ Stroud win Offensive Rookie of the Year and MVP? Yes. Could he? Yes, absolutely. 100%.
I don't know if that's ever been done before, but not since they started with this thinking offensive rookie of the year and defensive rookie of the year instead of just rookie of the year. I do think it's funny. I've seen a couple posts on X like, why are people so mad at the Panthers? Because of what CJ Stroud is doing. That's why they're mad. I mean, if he was struggling,
again, the only 2 people who play are quarterbacks.
Well, yeah. Anyway, you are trying to project rational thoughts on people.
That's literally my job.
But fan is for fanatic, and you're not going to get people to be rational.
We are analysts.
I was talking about posts that I saw and was given a reason why.
Well, but that's been your position though.
It's still, I'm a fan.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I'm a fan of the team. Yeah, I'm not gonna put that aside unless someone tells me I have to.
So this Jimbo Fisher thing is about to be all of our problems for a little while. Good news is Texas A&M will only hire one head coach. The bad news is you are all about to learn about what I consider to be the toxic mentality of Texas A&M fans. What do you mean, Rob? I'm ever so glad that you asked, my friends. Lonzo, I don't know if you've gotten the opportunity to look at the most recent AP Top 25 poll, but off the top of your head, do you happen to know around where the Oregon Ducks are ranked?
I haven't looked. I'm going to go 7.
You were very close. They are ranked at number 6. They are one spot behind the number 5 ranked and undefeated Washington Huskies. Those Huskies are ranked one spot behind the undefeated Seminoles of Florida State. That's 654. Why am I randomly? Randomly? That's just where we are, people.
Is it random now?
Randomly?
I don't think it's random.
It's not random at all. It's not random at all. Why am I not randomly at all bringing up the number 6, 5, and 4 teams in the AP poll? Well, here's why. Because yesterday evening, after Jimbo Fisher had been officially separated from employment aboard the Colts location upon the compound, I thought to myself, oh, well, this is going to be a wonderful time in college football. Why? Well, because Texas A&M fans are about to begin speculating on who will become the next head coach that is going to finally lead the Aggies to the promised land. And so I started looking around and I started checking it out. And what names did I see? Not from fans on message boards, because if you go to message boards, you're going to see the worst of the worst. You're also going to see the best of the best, but you're going to see the worst of the worst. No. I began seeing from people that cover, beat writers that have exclusive access to the Texas A&M football program. I began to see their speculation as to who might become the next man with the clipboard in Aggie Town. And what names did I see? Well, I saw Dan Lanning. Hey, let's go get Dan Lanning. We can get Dan Lanning. Let's bring Dan Lanning down. Dan Lanning, for those of you that aren't paying attention, is currently the head coach at the University of Oregon, the number 6 ranked football program in America, a team that has a single loss. Their only loss comes to the number 5 ranked team in America, a team that is almost certainly going to be playing for a Pac-12 championship. And BT Dubs, should they defeat the Washington Huskies in the Pac-12 championship, there's a real good chance the Oregon Ducks could be in the playoffs this year. Let's go get Kalen DeBoer. Who's Kalen DeBoer, you might ask? Well, he is the coach of the aforementioned Washington Huskies, the number 4 ranked team in all of America, a team that as of right now is in a playoff spot. Yes, it's number 5, but Ohio State and Michigan play each other. Somebody's got to get bounced, and Washington will slide right into that number 4 spot. If they are to win the Pac-12 championship, they will be playing in the college football playoffs. And then there's Florida State. Mike Norvell has been in that program for 4 years now. Mike Norvell took a program that was winning 4 and 5 games and now has them undefeated at 9-0 with an ACC championship between them and a return to the playoffs for the first time since 2013. But A&M fans are like, sorry, not playoffs. They got their butts kicked by Oregon a while back too, didn't they? Anyway, point is, A&M fans are just like, well, let's just go get Mike Norvell. Just go get Mike Norvell. We'll do it again. We got Jimbo from Florida State. Let's get Norvell too. Here's the fun thing. You know what other name I saw Aggie fans? Like writers, not like random fans. You know what other name I saw Aggie writers saying, well, just go buy this guy? Lonzo, you want to take a hot stab at what local coaching name Aggie fans have just decided we can just get that guy?
Dabo Swinney.
Dabo freaking Swinney. You are all about to learn about the unbridled, unmitigated, ridiculous arrogance of the Texas A&M fan. You are all about to get some yo leaders all up in your face. And I'm excited for you all to experience what I have been experiencing for years.
You didn't thought a hip or anything when you did that?
I think I'm all right.
Okay.
I only tweaked a little something in the back, but it's been hurting for a while anyway, so I think I'm okay. You're all about to learn about the unbridled chaos that is the hopelessly optimistic but eternally doomed Texas A&M cult. Have fun. Have fun, Clemson fans, scrolling the internet and watching the Aggies convince the world, and by the world I mean themselves and exactly nobody else, that they can just call Clemson and go, hey, Dabo, come on down. And he's going to go, all right, see you. I'm out. I'm heading to Texas.
I hear, and there's proof that this is true, that they have a lot of money in Texas.
They sure do. They got less of it now by the tune of about $76 million. But they got it. So I'm not arguing that there's no chance any of these coaches would go, tell you what, Ags, you hook me up with the same $90 million buyout that you hooked up Jimbo with, and I'm on the way. No, what I'm saying is the Aggies think that they are God's gift to college football. They just think they are the best. Hey, by the way, just for funsies, for a little stat, the Aggies are on a 9-game road losing streak. That is the longest road losing streak for Texas A&M since 1939. That is right, ladies and gentlemen. The last time that the Aggies lost 9 in a row on the road, we had not yet gotten involved in World War II. But they are God's gift to college football. Why would you want to be in Eugene, Oregon, living off that Phil Knight money and those Nike NIL deals when you could go to College Station, Texas? Why would you want to be in the upstate of South Carolina on the beautiful shores of all these lakes, in the foothills, in the mountains, in the beautiful weather we have here, when you could go to College Station? Why would you want to run a blue blood historical program like Florida State University in the middle of the panhandle of Florida when you could go to College Station? I just want all of you to enjoy the unnecessary arrogance, the unjustified confidence of Texas A&M as they insinuate for the next 3 months that they can just buy whatever coach that they want and present him with a national championship trophy for a national championship that does not exist. And hey, Aggie fans, spoilers, will never exist. Lonzo is about to Conor McGregor his way through a sport. Are you gonna Conor McGregor your way through a sports flash?
No, I'm gonna struggle. I'm gonna Joe Namath my way through this. It was a big weekend for college football in the Palmetto State as South Carolina defeats Vanderbilt 47-6. Furman defeats VMI 37-3, and Clemson defeats Georgia Tech 42-21. The NFL was full of surprises yesterday. Texans rookie quarterback C.J. Stroud outdueled Joe Burrow with 356 yards and a touchdown in a 30-27 win over the Bengals. Brock Purdy got the better of Trevor Lawrence in a 34-3 49ers win over Jacksonville. Lawrence threw for just 185 yards, 2 picks, and no touchdowns. The Cowboys blew out the Giants 49-17 behind Dak Prescott's 404-yard, 4-touchdown day. Tune in tonight at 7:30 for Monday Night Football as the Bills take on the Broncos right here on the Fan Upstate. Steven, it is allergies, but allergies are killing me right now. Hopefully not literally. I can't die right now. I'm on vacation next week. I've found some allergy medicine that's effective for me, but the problem is it makes me dizzy and sleepy, so I can't take it at work. So as soon as I finish my work day, I will go home and take the medicine and probably sleep all day. Hollies and jollies.
Zach, I struggled through that game Sunday morning. By struggled, I mean turned it on and went back to sleep.
It was rather enjoyable to see the end of an era. If Belichick's ever going to get fired, it needs to happen right now. So when he does this to his head is the last thing that we remember him by. I don't know, the way he was acting and the way everyone keeps focusing in on Mr. Happy Ending, it just he appears like he might be nearing the end of all.
I got to think the end of this year. They're not going to fire him in season, especially not now. It doesn't matter now.
I think they should fire him and bring in Josh McDaniels.
That would be the funniest possible outcome for the record.
I mean, he's available right now. If this doesn't improve tomorrow, I'm going to bring in that sinus medicine that makes me do all that and just take one of them and see what happens. Listen to 2. Maybe it won't be as bad. If I get sleepy, I'll just stand up. I don't know, Zach, do you want Vrabel now with the struggles that he's had? All right, you're getting ready to start a new hour. That's what's happening right now.
We got this.
Yay, team.
And away we go, ladies and gentlemen. Our numero dos of the Rob Brown Show starts now. Welcome back. This is the Fan Upstate. How do you do, Upstate South Carolina? Hello, America. What up, world? Great to be with you on what may very well go down as the most decibelly challenged edition of this show in history. Feeling great. Sounding awful, but we're fighting through it nonetheless. I am Rob Brown, the great one Lonzo, on the ones and twos on the other side of the metaphorical glass.
I'm your huckleberry.
Yes. Yes. I'm here for it. We got a day lined up as we continue on. I would like to jump straight into today's water cooler cheat sheet, and I would like to do so because I'm not going to lie. We may not be restricted by numbers today. There's not just 3 stories that needed to get discussed. At the water cooler cheat sheet, traditionally, the 3 items you have to know before you go start talking sports with your coworkers on your first smoke break. But, my friends, there's like a lot of them. And we're going to roll through as many as we can. All the items on today's water cooler cheat sheet. Oh, okay. Item number 1.
What?
I was going to go with the water cooler intro here.
Okay, because
I didn't say I was going to roll right into it.
Yeah, but it's Listen, even in my best day, your transition there was not. I'm just. Am I wrong?
No, it's fine.
I'm gonna hit it now.
It's fine. I'm the Bryce Young of this show. It's all my fault.
And the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworker saying,
You hear that?
Oh wow!
their first bathroom break.
No.
Here we go. Welcome to the water cooler cheat sheet on the Fan Upstate.
It's the well-oiled machine today. Ladies and gentlemen, the water cooler cheat sheet, the 3 things you have to know before you go start talking sports around the office, and we start with item number 1. We talked a lot about it in the first hour, but whatever. LOL, Jimbo Fisher is fired. He is no longer the head coach at Texas A&M, and no, I do not revel in people losing their jobs. I don't care as much when they're getting paid $76 million plus to not do that job anymore. High-level university officials met earlier this week and were expected to meet again yesterday, did meet again yesterday to consider this dismissal of Fisher. Their athletic director, Ross Bjork, took to the mic yesterday and made music. That's a Saturday Night Live joke.
Lazo
got it.
I like Bjork. So
yeah.
She's like 4'2", and she's like from Iceland, I think.
Everything is music. Let me grab, you know what? Screw it. Let me grab clip number 1, if you don't mind. This is Ross Bjork yesterday at the press conference called to announce the departure of Jimbo Fisher. He will not coach another game for the Ags. And when asked why, Ross said this.
In my analysis, I determined at this point, and for lots of reasons, our program is stuck in neutral. We should be relevant on the national scene. Something is not clicking, something is not working, and therefore something had to give in order for Aggie football to reach our full potential.
I have decided that today I will fire Jimbo.
You got to throw a couple of throat clears.
Yeah, I didn't want that'd be a bad idea.
Fair enough. Okay, fair enough. I respect that. So like I said, I just love the unjustified, undeserved, complete arrogance out of the Aggies. We deserve to be on the national conversation. Why? Because you have money? You deserve to be there because you have money. I have news for you. Having money makes it easier to do it, but that is not what gets you there.
I'm guessing entitlement is really a thing.
100%.
Yeah, so, I don't know.
And if I asked you to tie one descriptor along with entitlement, like one thing, one trait amongst those that we consider entitled, I would argue about 90% of the people who get labeled consensus entitled, they have money. That's their thing. I have money, therefore I can do whatever I want. And that's literally the Aggies. They are literally the TikTok influencers of college football. Look at us doing all this fun, quirky stuff. We got male cheerleaders in overalls doing whoop 'em Aggies. Whoop 'em Aggies. Get 'em Ags. We deserve to be. Why? You know who's got national prominence now? The Washington Huskies. You think the Huskies are bathing in dollar bills like the Ags? Nope. Why are the Huskies in the national conversation? Because they're winning football games.
And syrup.
Is Washington known for syrup?
I think they're like trees in Washington and syrup.
I thought syrup was Canadian.
I'm gonna have to check now.
Canada's got Celine Dion, syrup, and Ryan Reynolds. That's their thing.
Could be one of those times when I probably shouldn't have pushed that button, but we'll find out.
I accept that. I love it. The unbridled, undeserved, unjustified arrogance of Texas A&M comes back to bite them square on the. And I'm here for it, kids. I'm just here for it. Let's go to item number 2. In fairness, I sprung that one on you. That one I just kind of threw.
I was looking up syrup. Oh, my bad.
Item number 2. Let's go to the Palmetto Review. Carolina Panthers played last Thursday night. We reviewed that. It wasn't fun. So let's go to a couple of games that were. Let's start right down the road in Columbia, South Carolina, where the Gamecocks hung 14 in the third quarter and 20 in the fourth en route to a 47-6 victory over the Commodores of Vanderbilt. You know why this game is good? Because you did what you were supposed to do. You did what you were supposed to do. You did what you needed to do. Spencer Rattler, 28 of 36, 351, 3 touchdowns and a pick. Mario Anderson, 102 yards and a touch on 9 carries. Lenora Sellers got in on the action with a 36-yard tote to pay dirt. Through the air, stop me if you've heard this one before. Xavier Legette had a 100-yard game, 120 on 9 snags through the air. 3 wide receivers with tutties in this one. Amarion Brown got back in the action, 3 grabs for 44 and a touch. Omega Blake had 3 for 36 and a touch. Alex Huntley had 1 for a 1-yard tutty as well. Lonzo, no one's miserable today. No miserable fans today.
I beg to differ. I'm pretty miserable over here.
Okay, rephrase that.
I know what you're saying now.
No fans miserable because of Gamecock football today. This is what I expected. Let me say that. Let me fix that. It is not that you did what was expected. It's that you did well more than was expected, right? What was the line on this game? 14.5, I think.
Yes, and you asked me, would they cover? And I said yes. And they did.
They did twice.
Which was what they should have done against Vanderbilt.
I'm bad at math. I think they covered 3 times in this game.
I do think it's funny. When we talked about this last week, I said they need to remember what they did last year around this time. At a rallying cry, they were talking about this. Remember November. Remember what we did last year. So I just got to say, you're welcome.
That's fair. Now let's do it against Kentucky, right? That's Vanderbilt, and that's good.
I thought Kentucky was supposed to be competitive. What did they do against Bama?
What everybody else is going to do at Bama. I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, Bama's beating Georgia in the SEC championship game. Call that shot now. Bama's beating Georgia in the SEC title game. Nick Saban gets it back from Kirby Smart. We'll come to that later on in the week. But now do it against Kentucky. Listen, back in week 3, the Burns Rebels lost on the road at the Chapman Panthers. That was an upset. That was a big upset. That's a game they should not have lost. On paper, they don't lose that game. You play it 10 times, Burns wins it 10 times. But they lost that game. And I came on the radio the next Friday, and I said, look, here's the deal. I know that can be disheartening as a fan, but it's good for the team. Sometimes you got to get rocked in the mouth to recognize who you are. Sometimes you got to get punched in the gut to make you look in the mirror and go, who the hell are we? But the opposite of that's true. Sometimes you just got to go beat up on somebody. Sometimes you just got to beat up on a little guy. Atlanta didn't. South Carolina did. Sometimes you got to go beat up on the little guy. Sometimes you got to make somebody who does not deserve to be in your game realize they don't deserve to be in your game, and it'll set you on the right path. And I think that's what South Carolina did. But we can't know until Kentucky next week. Over on the other side of the Palmetto Review, Clemson did it too. Doubled up on Georgia Tech. And I want you to understand this. 42-21 winners over Georgia Tech, and that's a real good win. That's a real good win. This is not your daddy's Georgia Tech team. This is not Paul in the triple option anymore. This is a Georgia Tech team that's got athletes. Haynes King is a dude. What did Clemson do? Pick him off. Not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 times in this game. Held Haynes King to less than 50%, to just 129 yards and 4 picks compared to 2 touchdowns. Brent Key is my favorite coach in the ACC right now. I like him. I like what's happening at Duke. I like what's happening. Obviously, you can't help but love what Dabo's done at Clemson. I love what Mike Norvell has done to turn Florida State around, but Brent Key is my favorite coach in the Atlantic Coast Conference right now because he's just an offensive line bro. Not an offensive lineman, an offensive line bro. He's that dude. And he is fun to root for. He's fun to pull for. And because he's fun to root for and because he's fun to pull for, he's put together a team around him that loves him. He's put around him a team that wants to play for him. This Georgia Tech team's good compared to what they've been in years past. Yes, they're 5-5. Yes, they're 4-3 in conference. But this is a Tech team that for many years was like 2-10 overall. Right? This is the best Georgia Tech's been in a very long time, and Clemson dominated every aspect of that football game from start to finish. It should have been 42-7. Tech got a couple of late garbage time touchdowns to make it look more respectable than it was. I cannot tell you how good of a win this is for Los Tigres. This was enormous. I'm not even gonna not hit on Lonzo for playing the kitty cat sound over the second consecutive dominating performance out of the Clemson Tigers.
You said the word, man.
They don't deserve it today.
Yeah,
today they look like Clemson.
Okay, as long as you don't say the word, I won't hit the button.
Yeah, you mean just don't say the name of the team and you'll be fine.
You said Clemson. I didn't.
Yeah, just don't say the name of the team.
Okay, just don't say the name of the mascot.
Item number 3 on the water cooler cheat sheet. The Penn State Nittany Lions got wrecked by Michigan. How wrecked, do you ask? Well, they got so wrecked that Michigan, in the entire second half of a football game that they won 24-15, they threw the ball twice in the second half. They ran the ball, top of my head, if I recall correctly, 35 consecutive times over Penn State. That's like 1947 style football. You don't get 38 straight runs when Army plays Navy. And that's what they just did. Unfreaking believable. How bad was it? Penn State fired their offensive coordinator. Like, immediately. Mike Yurcich, announced Sunday by James Franklin, is out. It was his third season in the role. Penn State put up a total of 238 yards of offense. 75 of those came in a final minute scoring drive when the game was already over. James Franklin said, quote, "We thank Mike for his contributions over the last 3 years, but feel it is in our program's best interest to make a change at this time. We wish him and his family nothing but the best in the future." He got future endeavored. It's the worst thing that can happen.
Do you remember? I don't recall this happening very often where assistant coaches are getting fired in season. Because we had Grinch getting fired.
Yep.
What was it last week? Now we got this guy getting fired.
Yep.
Is this a new trend where they're getting ahead of the fact that they know that whoever's in charge is going to say, "Hey, you need to make some changes," so they're just getting ahead of it and go ahead and making the changes?
I'll tell you what this is: the sacrificial lamb. Right? Think about the coaches who are canning assistants right now. The two that are jumping out, the two that Lonzo just mentioned, Lincoln Riley at USC, James Franklin at Penn State. Would you say, Zoe, that either one of those cats has come anywhere close to living up to the expectations the universities have of them?
Right. That's my point.
Yeah.
Because during the off season, the ADs or presidents, whatever, will get with them and say, "Hey, you need to make some changes." So you do it now. And then when you have those meetings, you say, "Hey, we recognize the problem. We're already taking care of it." And suppose that maybe they look at you in a different light, I suppose.
That's what this is. That's what this is, right? It is part of the reason that Clemson has a new offensive coordinator this year. Garrett Riley wasn't necessarily on the table, I don't think, when they made the call last year. But what a head coach is going to do is he's going to feed somebody to the wolves to hold them off a little bit, right? Because you can now go, if you're James Franklin, a guy who I won 2 college football bets on Saturday. I got my butt handed to me on the books on Saturday. I stunk in the books this weekend. One of the two that I won on Saturday was Michigan to cover up over Penn State. And I said on the Saturday show, Bet for the Cycle, now all the sports gambling show, a show I should be fired from for what I did this weekend. I was atrocious. I said on the show, I said, here's the deal. James Franklin is a guy that has expectations that have been heaped upon him by Penn State, and he's met none of them. James Franklin has, if I recall correctly, in the entire time he's been at Penn State, 1 win over a top 10 team. 1 in all this time. And he gets to play multiple of them every year, if only in Michigan and Ohio State. But he's got 1. He had an opportunity. Nope, he had a necessity this year to beat Michigan because he already lost to Ohio State. We came into this year going, oh, it's a 3-horse race in the Big Ten. No, it's not. It's a 2-horse race. It's Michigan, Ohio State. Penn State was never a factor. Ohio State thumped him. Michigan thumped him. So James Franklin right now is fighting for his life because he's very close to getting Jimbo Fisher. And they don't have the buyout that A&M had to worry about. So when your head coach is under fire, as James Franklin is, and reasonably so, the best decision they have, the best opportunity, the best asset that they have is to fire a coordinator and step in front of the mic and go, it was all his fault. I'm like, Shaggy, it wasn't me. It's all his fault. We would be better if it wasn't for that guy. And now that guy is gone. It basically is a delay tactic. It's a way to buy yourself a little bit of time.
Quoting Shaggy the Rapper. Way to go, dude.
That's what I do. One more, actually, probably a quick 2 more before we get out of here. I'll just tell you the last one is the new AP poll is out, but we're going to talk about that with the Rob B remix in the next segment. So instead, I'll tell you this one. Item number whatever we're on now. 4,
57,
3, 16, Omaha. College football playoff leaders continuing to move forward in adjusting the postseason format in the wake of realignment. Remember, we had the 6-6 format, which was going to be the 6 highest rated conference champions, followed by the next 6 highest rating teams. But the Pac-12 doesn't exist anymore. I mean, it does right now, but it won't next year. There is belief that we could see the demise of the Atlantic Coast Conference sometime in the next couple of years, which would bring us down to the big 3, maybe the big 3, and then the EEC, the everybody else conference. I don't know how it's going to work out. The future is yet to be determined. But because we are down 1 Power 5 team and going to the Power 4 next year, now it looks like the College Football Playoff Management Committee, the 10 FBS conference commissioners, and Notre Dame is recommending that college football's expanded playoff field encompass now 5 automatic qualifiers and 7 at-large berths. The 5+7 format would be a change from the previously approved 6+6 model. At their meeting last week in Dallas, commissioners cast votes to send a recommendation to the CFP Board of Managers, their corresponding school presidents, to make that change. Several people with knowledge of the discussions spoke to the media under the condition of anonymity. Effectively, what's going to happen here, if this passes in the wake of the demise of the Pac-12, is that the 6+6 format, again, the highest 6 ranked conference champions, which would have likely been your 5 Power 5 conference champs plus 1 group of 5 conference champ, and then the next 6 highest rated teams, they're going to do away with 1 conference champ and add 1 more AQ. Notre Dame's going to be all on this, obviously, because they're not going to be a conference champ. So the more at-large there are, the more chances they have to get in. But who's upset about this is all the not current Power 5 conferences that will exist in the future. Why? Because there's 1 less conference champ getting in. I'll tell you who's very upset about it. The group of 5 teams. The group of 5 teams are going to be ticked because having a group of 5 AQ as a conference winner go in opens up a world to them that had not been there before. But it's about the best teams, and more often than not, much to the chagrin of at least one of my coworkers, a Power 5 team that is ranked 2 or 3 and does not win their conference but is inside the top 25 is going to beat the brakes off of the MAC champion more times than they're not. And that's just why this decision got made. When we come back, It is time for the Rob B remix. We're going to take a look at the AP Top 25, and I will put them in the correct order. I'm going to go ahead and spoiler alert myself in a way that I shouldn't do for the radio, but I'm going to anyway. It's not that far off from the AP Top 10 today, but there are some changes, including one inside the top 5. So we'll break that down when we come back. I'm Rob. He's Lonzo. You are listening to the most sultry sports talk radio show in America, The Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. All right, dude. 7 away for just a minute. Y'all don't go anywhere. We will be right back. Amigos, we are back. It may or may not be reluctantly. It's not. I like doing this.
What? You know, I'll never look at those glasses the same now, Zach.
You've never thought of that before? My black ones especially.
No.
I did one time take the black ones and wrap white tape around them.
I was going to say, you throw some tape on there and then.
I had a best friend back in Florida.
Maybe you have more of a Spike Dudley kind of feel. I don't know.
I had a best friend back in Florida, Bobby Bess, who was a black guy, and we went as race cross Dudley boys for one Halloween. So I went as Devon and he went as Bubba Ray, and won a Halloween costume with it, or Halloween costume contest with it.
Do you 3D anybody?
No, we really wanted to. We did bring a
not a full-size one, but one of those collapsible tables.
Mhm.
We brought it with us. And when we went up on stage for the judging, they called up the 5 Halloween costumes, like the 5 groups or persons who were up there for the championship. And we left it on the side of the stage. We went up there. He pushed me and yelled, "Get the table." I went and got the table and set it up. And then we just started staring down the judges when they were doing their announcements. And one judge got it. And we won it by one. The vote was every judge, first place costume got 5 points, second place got 4, third place got 3. We won by 1 point. And afterwards, the dude that we were staring down walked up and he's like, "I want you to know I made you number 1 because I got the joke." And I was like, "You're in the cool kids club, 100%." I don't want to talk about it, Zach. We are hot garbage, a dumpster fire of a program, and I will fight Dennis Allen on site. All right, okay, out the gate.
No, you had me there. My bad.
Before I get into the Rob B remix, where we take the AP top 25 teams and put them in the correct order, I do want to issue an apology for something I said earlier in the show, and this is sincere. I told the story back of the coach from Hillcrest that was making a little noise in the press box after Hillcrest defeated Burns on Friday night. It turns out I did not know this, and this is a teachable moment, as we might say here on the Rob Brown Show. Apparently, he was friends with somebody else that was in the booth and was having a little friend. They were having a little friendly smack talk competition back and forth between each other leading up to the game. And so that was just a buddy giving another buddy a ribbing after the game. It was not directed at me or the broadcast team. It just happened to be a moment where he was looking in that direction. I happened to look over and we locked eyes instead of the intended recipient of some good-natured ribbing. So I offer a sincere apology to the person in question about that. It was nothing that they did wrong. They were having a go at one of their friends after a little friendly high school rivalry smack talk, and that's on me. So my sincere apologies. That's my bad. Probably should have kept that one to myself. Got a little carried away with, hey, for the record, a good rivalry, a good high school football rivalry story. All right. That's what I intend that as. It's just a good, friendly high school rivalry story. But if it came across the wrong way, or if I put anybody in a bad position, sincerely, I apologize for taking it the wrong way. Should not have rushed to judgment. That's on me. My sincere apologies there. All right. So with that out of the way, let's get to the Rob B remix, where we take your top 10 AP teams and put them in what is the correct order according to me and nobody else. Your AP top 25 breakdown goes this way. Oregon State at number 10. Hey, Lonzo, who's the quarterback for Oregon State? DJ. I can't do that guy. DJ Uiagalelei has his beeves after they put up a 60 spot this weekend inside the AP top 10. Just, it's just really too bad there were no other programs he could have done that for, DJ has number 10, Oregon State. Number 9, Louisville, undefeated within the ACC, are the Louisville Cardinals. The last obstacle standing, with all due respect, which is okay. The Florida Gators have Florida State in rivalry week. Miami gave Florida State a bit of a game this weekend. Got a little tense there at the end. Florida, and then the conference undefeated Louisville Cardinal at number 9. Alabama's at number 8. They are one spot behind the only team that has put an L on the record, the Texas Longhorns. Oregon, as a one-loss team, is number 6, right behind the only team that handed them the 1L, the Washington Huskies at number 5. Florida State inside the playoff 4 at number 4. Ohio State, number 3. Michigan, who I'm going to give Lonzo a chance to make fun of later in the show. We'll see if that helps him feel better. And, of course, number 1, Georgia, now AP top team, 22 consecutive weeks. That is the second longest run in the history of the AP poll. The only team with a longer run at number 1 were the USC Trojans back in, I think it was 03 to 05. USC was in that spot, but Georgia on their way at number 1 right now. Let me put them in the order I like. I'm going to start with number 10. I am going to put Louisville at number 10. I really like this program. I'll tell you right now, I think there's a better than decent chance that Louisville could spoil the dream season for one Florida State University in the ACC title game. That game is locked in halfway with Florida State in there. Louisville knocks off Virginia 31-24 a week after they beat Virginia Tech 34-3. They shut out Duke, who, by the way, gave North Carolina a hell of a game this weekend, 23-20. The week before that, they beat Pitt 38-21. Pitt, again, a competitive team. Oh, excuse me, they lost to Pitt 38-21. Pitt, a very good team. That's the conference L for the Louisville Cardinal. I blanked up. I thought that it was Notre Dame. I got my teams backwards. It was Pitt that knocked off Louisville. But as it stands, Louisville's not a bad little football team. I still think Florida State's a favorite, but we will find out. At number 9, one spot ahead of them. Hey, get his name ready again. I've got the Oregon State Beavers and DJ Uiagalelei leads the Beavs to a 62-point showing against Stanford this weekend. He went for 249 yards and a pair of tutties against the Cardinal. And the Oregon State Beavers on the Robbie Remix, check in at number 9. At number 8, look, I know that they beat Alabama. I know they've got a dub. I know their only L came to a top 12 team, but this Texas Longhorns team is now not playing their best ball. They beat a not good TCU team by 3. That's the week after they beat an okay Kansas State team by 3. That is 2 weeks after beating a not okay Houston team by a score. Texas played their best football at the beginning of the year. And oh, by the way, Jonathan Brooks, their 1,000-yard leading rusher, is now out for the season. Texas is probably taking another L somewhere. They haven't yet. I can't knock it until it happens, but I've got them at number 8. That is behind number 7, Alabama. Alabama went and just toe up from the flow up the Kentucky Wildcats 49-21. That's the week after demolishing LSU 42-28. That's the week after beating Tennessee, a top 17 team, by 2 scores. Yes, earlier in the season, Bama was lower than this because Bama wasn't playing great ball. But they're getting better week by week. And like I said, I would not be shocked to find out that Alabama beats Georgia in the SEC championship game. Alabama one spot behind the Oregon Ducks, a team that I have been riding with all season long. Their only loss, a 3-point L at the hands of the now top 5 Washington Huskies. They have beat everybody else, and they're beating everybody else. 36-27 winners over the Trojans of USC this weekend. They hung 63 on Cal. Hey, that Utah program that beat USC? Yeah, Oregon beat them 35-6 in their house, a place that's been notoriously difficult to win. This Oregon team is very good. They're not getting a lot of credit because they play so many of their games so late that a lot of folks don't see them, but the Ducks are good, and that's why they're at number 6. They'd be higher, but they've got to go behind the only team that has handed them an L this year, and that is the Washington Huskies. I've got Washington at number 5. I like this team, but they're getting into some fights they don't need to be in. They were in a fight against Stanford. They were in a fight against SC until they weren't. They were in a fight against Utah this weekend. They did win that fight 35-28, your final against a upstart Utah team. A good Utah team. A Utah team that, by the way, is in this edition of the polls at 7-3. The only 3-loss team ranked higher than Utah is LSU out of the SEC West at this point. This Washington team's no joke, but they are going to have to start putting some style points on the board. It doesn't matter. They control their own destiny. Don't lose. They're in the playoffs, but they're going to have to pick it up just a little bit. At number 4 in the Rob B remix, I had them at number 2 last week. I dropped them a couple of spots. They got into a fight with a middling Miami Hurricane team, but hey, it's a rivalry game. It's a hate game. This is not a rivalry game. This is whatever is one level past a rivalry game. This is a hate game. And Florida State made it more interesting than it needed to be. They were up 14 at one point. They allowed Miami back in, but they got the dub 27-20. They beat Pitt 24-7 without their 2 top wide receivers. Wake Forest 41-16. Duke 38-20 when Duke was the top 16 team. Syracuse 41-3. Virginia Tech 39-17. Florida State is on a roll right now. And I dropped them not because of how they are playing, but because of how other teams are playing, including number 3, the Buckeyes of Ohio State. They get a 38-3 win over Michigan State this weekend. But again, keeping an eye on the opposition, Michigan State is a team in turmoil right now. They were already not good. Then they had to relieve their head coach of his duties in season a few weeks back. They have had a difficult time getting pointed in the right direction. It's a very good win for Ohio State, but this is exactly what should have happened. In fact, the spread on that game, I think, was like 35.5. So they did exactly what we thought they were going to do and no more. That's why I've got them at number 3. The AP handed them 1 first place vote. At number 2, I've got the team with the most first place votes in the AP poll. I'm putting Georgia at number 2. Look, Georgia's picked it up. They won by 9 over a good Missouri team that just rolled Tennessee. They smoked Florida. They beat Vandy the way they were supposed to. They hung a 52-17 spot on Ole Miss this weekend. The only team left standing that could have beat them in the regular season. The only reason they're not number 1, Michigan. Michigan went into Penn State. They punched the Nittany Lions in the mouth. That score was 24-15. Lonzo, I don't think it was that close. Michigan threw the ball twice in the second half. They were totally fine to get out of there with a 9-point win over the upstart and number 10 ranked Penn State Nittany Lions. I got no love lost for James Franklin. Seems like a great guy. Just can't get over the hump. But Michigan just toyed with Penn State all day long. I got Michigan number 1, Georgia number 2, Ohio State 3, and FSU 4 to round out the playoff spots. Washington and Oregon are 5 and 6. Alabama, Texas, Oregon State, and Louisville round out my top 10. Who do I have too high? Who do I have too low? Your thoughts are welcome on the carpros.com text line 71307. Start your text with FAN, and we'll read them on the air. We got plenty more football. Don't go anywhere. The Rob Brown Show rolls on after this. It is the Fan Upstate. Kobe. Oregon State. Why do you think Oregon State's too high, man? I love where Oregon State's at right now. TBH.
Allergies are killing me, Zach. And with allergies comes those little aches and pains. Well, that last one did not feel so little. In places where you have weakness. So Kathy Bates just hit me in the knee with a sledgehammer.
When did the ankle?
It was.
The ankle, right?
Yeah, but she hit me in the knee.
Fair enough.
She hit James Conn in both ankles.
I remember seeing that scene as a kid, and it messed me up, dude. It messed me up.
That's why you should never trust the sanity of a crazed fan. Oof. If you are not just joking, Zach, go watch Misery.
Oh, man. Kathy Bates is one of the greatest and most terrifying actors of all time.
She was not Bobby Boucher's mama in that one.
No, she was not.
All right, so if you don't know who Kathy Bates is, if you saw Waterboy, she was his mom.
She the one who said alligators angry because they got all them teeth and no toothbrush.
Adam Sandler was in Milwaukee. I don't know if you've seen it.
Talking to the Fonzie statue.
That was so good. That was hilarious. Mr. Coach Klein.
It took me like half a second to remember that the Fonz is not dead when he did that. I'm like, oh, what a
dude. He's been in a ton of stuff lately, including he's Kansas City's biggest fan, and he's got to go
that's right. I thought I saw it.
Got to go on the sideline and meet Mahomes and all that stuff. Yeah. Sorry, I don't have a whole lot of voice, so I can't do a whole lot of talking in between. Bad part about feeling this way is when I go do my stuff that I got to do this week, which is a ton of things. Since I'm off next week, I'm going to have to triple and quadruple check it to make sure I did it right. Trying to figure out what do I binge when I go home, because I'm going to throw something in that I've seen a bunch of times.
Comfort Watch.
Yeah. Just thinking about going extended versions of Lord of the Rings. Just throw those in there. And go
I'm not mad about that. How are your hollies and jollies, Lonzo? Are they kick-started?
They need kickstarted right now. I don't know if it's possible. You'd have to wade through a wall of snot, which you don't want to do. It's disgusting, I know, but truth. Chris needs to come fix my thing. I know how to fix it, but I want him to be in here in case something goes wrong.
Well, he is here.
I know. He already texted me and told me, you know how to fix it. It's like, yeah, I'm not rebooting the system when no one's here. Plus, I want him to see what I said in my email. Someone got a cart stuck. If I had a hammer, I'd fix it.
All right, wrapping up the next hour of the Rob Brown Show. Rob and Lonzo with you. 2 more hours to go. Coming up at 8:40, we got John Blau of the Post and Courier. We'll talk a little Clemson. Georgia Tech. I'm very impressed with that win. Very impressed with that win. Very impressed with South Carolina's win, too. We're going to talk about both of those coming up in the next hour. But before we do, I want to throw this out at you real quick. Lonzo, when's the last Deion Sanders story you heard or saw or got jacked into your social media feed?
He pops up on my feed all the time.
Does he really?
So, yeah, but it's usually inspirational things and stuff like that because I was already following him before all this.
When's the last Deion as a head coach story you got?
I don't recall.
It's been a minute, right? Yeah, it's been a minute. Well, this is where the story gets real interesting to me. Now, I've mentioned I'm a Deion guy, all right? I have been #influence. I got the Deion blenders right here and ready because we obviously have to do the most impactful edition of CSI Ann Arbor later on in the show. We're coming to that. I'm a big Deion guy, all right? That being said, now's where the story gets interesting to me. After the Buffs took their 4th consecutive L this weekend against the Arizona Wildcats. That is also, by the way, for those of you keeping track, 6 L's in 7 games for Deion. Deion's team is now 4-6, which means that they have to win against both Washington State and Utah to be bowl eligible. And spoiler alert, they're not going to do that. Now, it's an interesting spot to be in because on one hand, I think after the start to the season with 3 straight dubs, I think we all kind of went, damn, maybe this team can be bowl eligible. On the flip side, this was a team that was expected to win 3 games maximum. 3 games maximum, according to Vegas. They've now won more than that, and they've still got 2 left to go. But here's why this is going to be interesting to me. Now we have guys that are starting to decommit. 4-star wide receiver Winston Watkins Jr. has decommitted. Winston Walker Jr. is a Florida native. He is the number 13 ranked. Wow, I regret that one immediately. Yep, go ahead, play it. Yep, 100%. 100%. Earned, deserved, justified. The number 13 ranked wide receiver, the number 74 overall prospect for 2025. He has 22 college offers. Colorado right now has a 2025 class that is down to 2 commits, 4-star quarterback Antoine Hill Jr. and 3-star running back Jamarice Wilder. Now, this is very interesting because Winston Watkins Jr. is also being targeted very heavily by the Clemson Tigers. He committed to Colorado the day after Deion was announced as the head coach. What does that say? That says that Deion's celebrity is no longer enough. Deion's celebrity in the face of being potentially a 4-win football team is not enough. What that says to me is now Deion Sanders has entered the realm of every other college football coach. See, Deion Sanders now has to be a coach. Deion Sanders now has to manage a football program. Deion Sanders now has to recruit like a normal coach. He can't just go, hey, would you like to play for me and wear some dope shades, dudes? Now Deion's actually got to coach a football program and recruit for a football program that he is about to guide to potentially, honestly, I think a 4-win season. I don't think Colorado's getting another dub. More importantly than a 4-win season, now he has got to recruit to a 4-win team that is going to lose their last 6 in a row. The entire back half of the season will be L's. Back to back to back to back to back to back. I am intrigued by this, not just because of Deion in Colorado, which is in and of itself compelling. I am interested enough in this now because remember back at the beginning of the season when Colorado had all the hype, when Lil Wayne was rapping the team out of the living room, when Boulder, Colorado was the hottest ticket in college athletics. Remember the beginning of the season when folks, not me, not this show, because I told you this day was coming because I know ball. But remember when other shows were having the conversation of, oh, is this going to tempt other schools into hiring celebrity head coaches, into hiring notorious former players to come coach? And I said, no, it's not. And it's not going to, because Deion is not going to come in here and kick the walls down. Because at the end of the day, while I think Deion is good, I think he's fine. I think Deion got carried to head coaching success by celebrity the way that Jimbo got carried to head coaching success by Jameis. It's nothing special. There's nothing special about Deion as a head coach at all. What's special about Deion is his celebrity. There was nothing special about Jimbo Fisher. There never was. I knew that when he was at Florida State. There was nothing special about Jimbo Fisher. He just happened to have Jameis Winston. There's nothing special about Deion Sanders. He just happened to be one of the most notorious football players of all time. I told you in week 3, don't get all nervous that we're going to have this rash of former coaches. I'm not worried about T.O. showing up. I'm not worried about Marshawn Lynch showing up because at the end of the day, coaching college football at the highest level is a very difficult job that requires a unique type of cat to be successful. And Deion right now ain't that guy. I'm not saying he can't learn it, but there were always going to be a lot of growing pains, and he's going through them now. He has now got the best player of his 2025 class, maybe the best player that he has gotten to Colorado yet outside of his son, decommitted a year earlier because they're about to lose 6 straight. Now it's going to get fun for me. The celebrity was great. The Lil Wayne stuff, the Rock showing up, that was all great. But all that's gone because celebrities don't show out for a 500 club. Ask the LA Lakers. They don't do it. And now he don't even have that. So what are you going to do as a head coach now, Deion? Now I'm excited to see what happens. All right, I got a text I want to talk about. I'll do that when we come back because it's a good one. But before we get there, Lonzo is about to show you that champions rise to the occasion. He is about to overperform and bring you the finest sports flash you've ever heard, and he's going to do it right now.
Yeah, no pressure except for sinus pressure. Texas A&M will pay Jimbo Fisher more than $76 million to not coach its football team after firing him yesterday. Fisher was in control of the program since leaving Florida State in 2017 and was 45-25 in that time, including the program losing 9-game road losing streak. The NFL was full of surprise yesterday. Texas rookie quarterback C.J. Stroud outdueled Joe Burrow with 356 yards and a touchdown and a 30-27 win over the Bengals. Brock Purdy got the better of Trevor Lawrence in a 34-3 49ers win over Jacksonville. Lawrence threw for just 185 yards, 2 picks, and no touchdowns. The Cowboys blew out the Giants 49-17 behind Dak Prescott's 404-yard, 4-touchdown day. Tune in tonight at 7:30 for the Monday Night Football as the Bills take on the Broncos right here on the Fan Upstate. Legitimately held off a sneeze right there. Well, it hurts what we do. I'd rub some dirt on it, but that would be like rubbing it on my nose, and I think that would be counterproductive. All right, thing. Come on. There we go. I wonder what that thing is when you're not feeling well, like your head has this kind of worrying feeling. I really wish I could describe that. That you just know if you could just close your eyes for a while, you might be all right.
You been to do the last 2 hours?
Nah, man, I'm here.
Okay.
I'm limiting my talking just because I'm stupid and because don't want to have a coughing fit. But I'll be all right. Because after 2 hours from now, I won't have to talk again the rest of the day. In theory.
Yes, I did say wanked on the radio, and I regret that immensely.
He did that on purpose because he wanted me to play Beavis and Butthead because he knew it would make me feel better. So
I got way worse stuff I could say if I just wanted.
No, don't do that. Because you probably would get it by me today. So, I mean, you know.
Oh, dang it. I took my water out.
Yeah, you got time. We're late.
We are not late, as we are self-described wizards, and wizards are never late nor early.
Wow. Now I even more want to go watch that when I go home.
It's in my head now.
I'm sorry.
No need to be sorry.
Upstate Lights in the first break.
10-4.
Harry's has a lubricating strip for extra glide. They have a trimmer blade. Harry's has a trimmer blade for the hard-to-reach areas. They charge up to $4 per blade. Our German engineer blades cost as low as $2.
Halfway there, baby. Yeah.
Yeah,
halfway
boys.
there. Hopefully the worst is over, and after another day or two, I'll be back on the mend.
Oh, you want to talk more Jimbo Fisher? We can do that.
I'll Jimbo, Michigan. I mean, there's so
It's
many
all of
different
it.
things. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I tell you, the giant dong is going to get a lot of play on the show today. It's so good. Before I get to this text that I just got from T Experience that I do want to address, I did not know this. And I have been spending the entire day dropping Macho Man elbow drops on Texas A&M.
Oh, yeah.
But I kind of got to give him credit for something real quick, Lonzo. I kind of got to give him credit that despite the fact that the joke came at their own expense, they pulled one of the biggest big stone moves I've ever seen in college football, and I'm just now finding out about it. Apparently, great one. Apparently, this weekend, when the Ags were taking on Mississippi State, a game that they won by a lot of points and then fired Jimbo Fisher anyway. At halftime of that game, Ross Everything Is Music Bjork went out to midfield with members of the 12th Man Foundation. The 12th Man Foundation is the 501c3 not-for-profit organization that effectively pays for Texas A&M athletics. Yeah? The 12th Man Foundation was, according to Ross Bjork, at the press conference where he announced the departure of Jimbo Fisher, going to be the source of income that provided Jimbo Fisher his buyout. Well, at halftime of the game, Ross Bjork went out to midfield and he shook hands with the chairman of the 12th Man Foundation and accepted from the 12th Man Foundation, Lonzo, a check for $160,470,000 towards Texas A&M athletics. Let me say that again to you. In the game that would become Jimbo Fisher's final game as the head coach of the Texas A&M Aggies, at halftime, Ross Bjork, their athletic director, received on behalf of the university a check for $160,470,000. If that's not clicking in your brain, ladies and gentlemen, what that means is that at halftime, Ross Bjork literally picked up Jimbo Fisher's buyout. That means during that game, Ross Bjork got the money that he would turn around and less than 24 hours later utilize to buy out Jimbo Fisher while my dude was giving the halftime speech to the team. Zoe, if I have ever seen a straight up big stones power move in college football, this is it, dude. Not just that he got the money for the buyout, but he got the money for the buyout and double that.
Hey Jimbo, I was out, getting things ready for the second half, and they just gave him a check of, I think we're in trouble, boss. I think we might be in trouble, but we gonna be all right though. But we gonna be in trouble.
Could you imagine being Jimbo, walking back out to the sideline to start the second half of the game, and then seeing a picture of Ross Bjork catching a check to the tune of $160 million, knowing good and gosh darn well that's your buyout? Now, granted, I promise you, If there's one person in America that did not give a bleep about Jimbo Fisher being fired, it's Jimbo Fisher. He's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in one sense you think, well, I failed at what I set out to do, but at the same sense, I'm all right. Man, I'm making a lot of money to just go sit at home.
Guys, I'm so sorry I didn't win a national championship. Mr. Attorney, how much do they owe me? Wait, what? 76. My bad, y'all. I'll see y'all. I'll see y'all when I see y'all. I'm out.
I love the Orgeron thing because it's a bunch of those are showing up like, show me what door to go through, boss.
I'm gonna tell you square in the face right now. For $76 million, I'll let you kick me right in the rocks in front of 80,000 college football fans. You get one good shot for $76 million. I just like the power move of the Aggies getting a check for $160 million going, yeah, y'all were worried about the buyout. All this is the dude rolling into the bar, ordering a beer and putting a hundo down on the bar and being like, keep the change, just to impress everybody in the room. Nobody's impressed. We don't care. It's just money. Like, good for you. But nobody wants to be your friend, dude. You are the weird rich kid and nothing else. Nothing else. You're the weird rich kid nobody wants to be friends with. Yeah, you got a Porsche. We don't care. Because if we get in that Porsche, you're going to try to make us watch your weird cartoons. Nobody wants to do that. You weirdo, you nerd.
You need to stop with your anime hate.
I wasn't talking about anime. I was talking hentai, which is weird. All right, just is. Like what you like. Just know that what you like is weird. Embrace your weird. Texas A&M. Embrace your weird. That's a power move.
I think technically it's still anime, but okay.
I mean, would you like to defend it?
No, I was just
sure.
say technically. I mean, it's because anime is a style. It's not a.
Listen, if you would like to defend hentai, I'm totally happy to turn off my mic and let you do it. I just didn't think you were going to come to the defense of hentai.
I'm not.
Okay, just making sure. I got a text from T Experience, and I want to clarify my position. I was talking.
Well, I was a little slow on that one.
Yeah, got a text from T Experience as we were going out to break, right at the end of the segment, so I had to carry it over. Talking about Deion Sanders. I said, look, this is now a very interesting Deion Sanders story, right? It's a very interesting Deion story. Deion Sanders just lost his fourth game in a row. They have two more games that they are going to be underdogs in both and likely not going to win either, Washington State and Utah. I don't think they're getting either. And oh, by the way, keep in mind, just in case you weren't paying attention, remember, Colorado's going to the Big 12 next year. The competition level's going to get, well, I was going to say the competition's going to get better, but it's not. The Pac-12 is real good this year. Real good. Anyway, I said, here's where it gets fun for me. I told you back in the beginning of the season when Deion got hired that there were going to be shows that hit you with, this is just going to lead to a rash of schools hiring celebrity, infamous ex-players to come be head coach. I said, no, it's not. Because at the end of the day, all the marketing, all the branding, all the advertising spots, they're all good. They're all great. Do you know what sells a program faster than anything else? Wins, dubs, bowl games, bowl wins, playoff appearances, natties. That will make your program better off than the most notorious head coach, without a doubt. So don't worry about it. You don't need to worry about it unless Deion comes in and just kills everybody in his first year. And spoiler alert, he didn't do that. I mean, he outperformed his Vegas win total, but it was set at 3.5. He's won 4, right? Let's not pretend that he's just blowing it out of the water. Over under means there's about a 50% chance they go one over and about a 50% chance they go one under. He's won over, but he's lost a bunch in a row, and he's going to lose 2 more in a row. Now, with that being said, T Experience texted in and said, damn, Rob, what the freak you think Coach Prime's been doing? Don't be one to spread BS takes that he's just a sideshow. All right, let me clear that up, TX. And I appreciate your text as always, big dog. Good to hear from you. Let me clear that up. My take on Deion is not he's going to fail. It has never been he's going to fail. My take on Deion is, was, has been, and will remain, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how good of a head coach Deion can be. I know that Deion has assembled a very good staff of assistant coaches, for sure. But I don't know how good of an HC Deion can be. When Deion was at his previous school, in HBCU, in Jackson State, when he was a head coach in an HBCU, this dude was not coaching them to a historic couple of seasons. He was talenting them to a historic couple of seasons. Remember, what he was doing at Jackson State was built around talent, not coaching. I watched those games. He had Travis down there, you know, that two-way athlete that has been a dominant force when he's been on the field for Colorado.
It might be a reason why he's not winning right now, because
he can't out-talent people here. That's it. That's 100% it. This is where Deion's got to coach. At Jackson State, he just out-talented everybody. At Jackson State, he just went out and he found a Travis Hunter and he found a Shedeur Sanders, all D1 athletes. And he went up against teams that didn't have that luxury. Remember, Travis Hunter was Florida State's #1 prize in recruiting. And then he went to play for Deion because Deion's great, because Jackson State was going to provide an experience that he wasn't going to get at Florida State. Nope, because Deion was there. And because for a potential NFL two-way player, who the hell else would you want to play for but Deion Sanders? But that's not translating, because you can do that at the HBCU level. You can do that at the FCS level. You can't do it in D1 Power 5 football. Can't do it. You cannot out-talent the Pac-12. You know who's learning that right now? Lincoln Riley. USC was going to out-talent everybody this year. They had Caleb Williams. He was going for back-to-back Heismans. First guy since Atchie. Nope. USC tried to out-talent everybody. They got multi-Ls, and they're maybe getting one more. Right? You can't out-talent everybody at the Power 5 level. I do not know if Deion thought he was going to be able to out-talent everybody at the D1 level, or if he thought that he was going to be able to get that talent and then coach them into a winning team. Here's what I do know. He just suffered his first major decommit. A 4-star wide receiver coveted, 22 offers for this kid. He's in the 25 signing class, not 24. And he just decommitted from Colorado. They now have 2 recruits in their 2025 recruiting class. Now Deion's got a coach. TX, my take has not been that he will be a failure, or that he is a failure, or that he is or is not a good head coach. I take the same position I take on this that I take with everything else. I don't know. I do not have the evidence to justify a position one way or the other. I don't know if he is or if he is not a good head coach. What I do know is we're about to find out. We're about to find out, because he has got to do something to end this year not on 6 straight L's. If he loses on 6, because remember, Deion doesn't get the grace period that everybody else does. Not because he's Deion, but because Deion came in and said, y'all gotta go. I'm bringing my own luggage. And it's Louis. Remember? Remember the Louis Vuitton speech? When he talked, what was it, 50-plus kids into transferring out of Colorado because he was bringing his boys with him. He forfeited the grace period. He forfeited I get 3 years to cycle the last guys out and the new guys in. He forfeited that. He brought his guys in immediately. But I'll give Deion a 1-year grace period. Texter just said, I'm looking at Coach Prime kind of like I'm looking at Bryce Young. Give him a year. Let him get his recruits in. Let BY get some skill position players. They'll be different cats. I agree. Deion gets a 1-year grace period from me. He gets 1 year to establish the culture at Colorado and then recruit with that culture, not the last guy's culture. Quick, pop quiz. Who was the last head coach at the University of Colorado? Excuse me, at Colorado University. Who was the last head coach? Anybody? Bueller?
Matt Rule.
It was definitely not Matt Rule. It was Carl Durrell was the last head coach at Colorado. So, knowing that, who, by the way, was 8-15 during his tenure, I'm going to give him a year to finish establishing the Dion culture, the prime culture. I'm going to give him a year to recruit with that culture in his new facilities, with his new money behind him. I'm going to give him a year. But he's not getting 3. He gets 1. He gets next year. I got to see a better team next year. He does not get 3. But this was exactly what I was saying. The end of the day, Dion now has to be a football coach, and this is where the story gets fun for me. All right, we got to run to a break. When we come back here in just a minute, ladies and gentlemen, we have got to get to the most recent edition of CSI Ann Arbor, because it is, I don't know, is it unfair to say it's entertaining as hell? No, it's not. So, when we come back, my dudes and dudettes, the most recent edition of CSI Ann Arbor. Where are we? What happened? How'd we get here? We'll break it all down next on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Lights.
All right, guys, live reads. Stay right there. We'll be right back.
Prior to that, he was on staff at a number of major colleges, including Wisconsin, Georgia, Miami, and South Carolina most recently. And as a former player, he was able to let rookies need to know to pace themselves in their first NFL season. I think it's obviously dependent upon game, the fact that the volume of football kind of increases so much, but also sometimes guarding against those guys hitting the wall because the season is longer, there's more games in general, plus preseason. So I think about being able to keep those guys focused about being on day-to-day versus looking ahead to the next month, the next week, the next few games. With the Rams, a 3 wide receiver set was a big part.
Can you take me higher?
At Granger, we're for the ones who specialize in saving the day and for the ones who've mastered the art of keeping business moving. We offer industrial grade supplies for every industry with same day pickup and next day delivery on most orders, all backed by real people ready to help. So you can get the right answers and products right when you need them. Call quickgranger.com or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
How would you like to come home to a bartender who will fix you any cocktail you want? I'll have an old fashioned.
I'll have a margarita.
Now you can with the Bartesian home cocktail maker. Bartesian is a sleek machine the size of a coffee maker that makes premium cocktails at the touch of a button. Choose from over 50 different cocktails. From
Yes, I have Creed stuck in my head because of one tweet that I saw during the break.
I have you too in my head because it's playing in the bathroom.
Ooh, which one? That could go two ways.
With or without you.
It could be worse. I saw I don't know if this is fair or not in year one, but I saw the Vegas Sphere is like operating like $250 million in the hole after its first year.
I wonder how many years it would take to get it out of that to where it's profiting.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing, together millions of things for our planet. Planning a road trip to visit family and friends this holiday season? Now is the perfect time to make sure your car is getting optimal gas mileage. First, check your tires and make sure they are inflated at proper pressure. Remove heavy items like golf clubs from your car and plan on packing light. And minimize stops on longer trips to help maximize your fuel economy. When we each share our one thing, it becomes 100 things, 1,000 things, 1,000,000 things for our planet. What's your one thing?
That can't be real, can it? For some reason, a video popped up of a windowless 29 stories skyscraper. Is it?
Yeah.
Wow. I have to get up on occasion and go look out the window after I've been sitting in the office for too long. We'll be able to do it there.
Yep, I've seen it. But there's a reason why it's windowless. I looked that up too because I saw that going around and I was curious. It is a telecommunications building, which holds a ton of computer servers and stuff on the inside that have to be temperature regulated, has to be temperature regulated, and windows cause too much of a greenhouse effect to be able to successfully regulate the low temperature they need. So they just didn't build windows in it.
Okay.
It is also, if you want the conspiracy theory version of it,
believed to be a NSA HQ spy intelligence area.
Wonder if Rashad's ever been there.
The Rob Brown Show rolls on, ladies and gentlemen. I am Rob Brown, the great Malonzo on the ones and twos. Welcome back. Great to have you. 844-326-3663 is the number. 844-326-3663 if you want to get on the radio. You can also text us on the carpros.com text line at 71307, 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-N. We will read them on the air. I want to get real quick. I don't want to spend a ton of time on it. We got John Blau coming up in the next segment, so I'm going to bail out of this pretty quick. But I do have to say something. The Heisman Trophy is a trophy that I would very much like to go back to celebrating. Lonzo and I had this conversation last week. The Heisman Trophy 100% does not have the distinction nor celebration around it that it used to. And there's a big reason for that. It is because it kind of feels like the trophy no longer goes to the best player in college football. It feels like it goes to the most publicized player on the best team.
Who usually is a quarterback.
Now, that is not to say that I have an issue with quarterbacks winning it. I don't. Quarterback is hands down, without question, the single most difficult position to play on any football field at any football level. Even if you are a triple option guy, quarterback's the most difficult position to play. So a standout elite caliber quarterback should be in the discussion. Here's why I have a problem. I think we look at it and we make the assumption that the best quarterback's going to play for the best team. And that's not true. My direct comparison has been for years. When people say, oh, this team should go in because they play in this conference, as opposed to looking at what the teams actually are and deciding who the better team is, we go, oh, this conference. And I've made the comparison in the past that if I take the Philadelphia Eagles and I drop them into the MAC, they will be the best team playing college football, even though they're in a not great conference. Well, the same thing can be true about one player on a team. Just because this guy's team is 9-3 does not mean that he is not better than the QB of a team that went 12-0. Because as I have said a billion times this year, there are 22 guys introduced as starters in any given football game. There are 22 guys that have to play the game every single snap. It's not all on one dude. I love Bo Nix. I love his story. I love what this guy has been doing. I love the aggression he is showing in Oregon. I love the composure he's showing in Oregon. Bo Nix has been a lot of fun to watch. And Bo Nix just had himself another game. 23 of 31, 412 yards, and 4 touchdowns against USC. Granted, that is a ripped, wet paper bag of a defense for the Trojans. But still, against anybody, 412 and 4 tutties is good numbers. It's something to celebrate. But in the same weekend that he went 412 with 4 throwing touchdowns, down in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, there was a, I guess, rivalry game between LSU and UF, Louisiana State and the University of Florida. And in that game was another quarterback, Jayden Daniels. Jayden Daniels, the guy that I told you before the year started, should be your Heisman Trophy favorite going into the year. In fact, Robbie B's got a ticket out on JD to win the Heisman this year. Jayden Daniels went, Lonzo, 17 of 26 for 372 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. That in and of itself is an incredible number. And oh, by the way, he carried the ball 12 times for 234 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now, tomorrow, we are going to be handing out our
That is not real.
awards of the week. And do you want to guess who is going to get the number one TMFINR? I almost did it. TMFINR award of the week? It's going to be Jayden Daniels. Spoiler alert. 17 of 26, 372 and 3 touchdowns in the air, 12 carries for 234 yards and 2 touchdowns. I want you to think about that. Even if dude had one 100-yard touchdown run, he would still have another 134 yards to go as a quarterback. Now, granted, we can chalk a lot of this up to the Florida Gators being, and I believe the scientific term is awful right now at 5-5. And by the way, I think the very best they're going to do is 6-6. The very best. This team is struggling right now. They've got, no, actually I lied. They're going to be 5-7. They got Missouri and FSU back-to-back. They're going 5-7. Jayden Daniels tore them a new one this weekend. Bo Nix woke up this morning to find out that he is the Vegas odds-on favorite to win the Heisman Trophy. Let me say this clearly. He should not be. I love Bo Nix. I love what he's doing at Oregon. I love the style of game. I love the tenacity that he is playing with right now. But Jayden Daniels is the best quarterback in college football. It is no longer a question. It is a statement. Jayden Daniels should win the Heisman Trophy this year. And we still got 2 weeks left to play. But he should win the Heisman Trophy this year. And that game was an exclamation point followed by a more bold and larger exclamation point. If Bo Nix beats Jayden Daniels for the Heisman, and I'll say this now, unless Jayden just falls apart between here and the end of the year, and he will not, but unless he just falls apart between here and the end of the year, if Jayden Daniels does not beat Bo Nix for the Heisman, I'm saying this now, and I will stand on it. I will be done giving a single solitary about the Heisman Trophy after that. I love Bo Nix. I got his back. I support him. I love the comeback story. But if Jayden Daniels loses the Heisman to Bo Nix, I am done with the Heisman Trophy. I'm also done with this segment because coming up in the next segment, John Blau covers the Clemson Tigers for the Post and Courier, and we're going to talk about a big win, an impressive win, a win I'm very happy with for Clemson over the Ramblin' Wreck of Georgia Tech. And we'll do that next on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. All right, dudes, we're going to step away for just a minute and get John lined up. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. All right, dudes and dudettes, thanks for hanging in there.
I'm going to go build a fire in the corner. I don't think anyone will notice if I build a fire in the corner, right? Maybe warm me up some soup on a kettle. Or in a kettle, not on a kettle. Because it would spill if I put it on the kettle. Never been a hot tea guy.
I'm not either.
People keep mentioning hot tea and honey, and it's just, I mean.
Now, see.
Yeah, I know.
This is for me, not Alonzo.
Yeah, I know.
But whiskey and tea is where it's at. It's magical, actually.
Is it magical?
Magical.
What's it do that's magical?
It either makes you feel better or makes you forget that you don't.
Ah, okay.
And it works like a dream.
The right mattress matters. Go find yours. Restrictions apply. See store website for details.
With Black Friday appliance savings all month long at the Home Depot, we're making
Does it warm the soul? I'll take your word for it. See, I really want to go home and rest, but I won't rest. So the medicine will help me. It's not consistent, so I'm in and out of consciousness. A boot barn would take advantage of anyone who has sinus problems and are able to speak just like this without difficulty because it's boot barn. Boot barn makes me want to buy Spurs and put it on my tennis shoes.
I got to tell you, I got a real good boot barn voice today. The Rob Brown Show continues, wrapping up hour number 3, ladies and gentlemen. Rob and the great one, Lonzo, with you here on a beautiful upstate Monday morning. It is, for the second week in a row, an exceptionally beautiful Monday morning if you were a fan of the Clemson Tiger football program. Last week, they dominate Notre Dame en route to a win. We asked the question, would they be able to string it together 2 weeks in a row and turn the narrative around? And the answer is yes, as they knock off the rambling wreck of Georgia Tech 42-21 to break that game down. With us now, we welcome in a friend of the show, a young man who covers the Tigers athletic program for the Post and Courier. He is John Blau here on the Rob Brown Show. What's up, big fella?
Hey, how you doing, Rob?
Good, buddy. Good weekend for the Tigers, man. And let's jump right in, John. First and foremost, I think we've got to ask the overall question, like, has the narrative for this program been corrected in the last 2 weeks based on 2 real good results back to back?
Yeah, at least for now. I mean, it can always bend back the other way. That's sports. But, yeah, I mean, you have a pretty decisive win over Notre Dame at home. Then you absolutely rout Georgia Tech, almost said Virginia Tech. But it was 42-7. I mean, that 42-21 score looks closer than it was. I mean, a couple of touchdowns at junk time. You change the turnover narrative completely. You get 4 of those. You only give up 1. You're able to run the ball again, which that was a question coming into the game. You did a great job against Notre Dame. Can you do that again? They did it again. And, just 2 wins in a row. I mean, you have a chance to continue to, string wins together in November, make this a much different season than where it was at 4-4. Still got a chance to go 8-4, get to a much better bowl game. So I think obviously the way that they did it in dominant fashion, a lot of younger players performing, you can kind of point to the future and say, hey, these are guys that are going to be producing for us for years. It definitely was the type of win that I think definitely puts some wind under your sails, and it gives you a chance to finish this season out strong.
Yeah, there was all the talk, obviously, leading up to the Notre Dame game and discussion about what changes needed to be made and what had to happen. And it really did feel to me like, I go back to the Florida State game. You had the scoop and score touchdown for Florida State, that if that doesn't happen, I think Clemson wins that game. There were a couple of games that kind of felt like it's one play here, one play there, and it was just a breakdown of fundamentals. And it just looks in the last 2 weeks, John, like this team has drilled down, has figured out whatever it was that was causing those problems that basically boiled down to a lack of discipline. It seems like that is gone. And regardless of what caused it, whether it was the criticism from outside of the program or just a matter of, hey, it took a lot longer to gel than we like, the reality is now I'm looking at this Clemson team and going, this team has momentum it can carry forward and get right back into the mix next year.
Yeah, I mean, I think I remember, Georgia, I think the year before they won the first of the 2 national championships, they were 8-4. I mean, really good programs have seasons like this. They bounce right back just because they have a certain young nucleus of talent that needs to mature. And Clemson can point to that. And I think Kate Klubnik even said it after the game again, that, hey, this is a young team. I mean, you look at the 4 freshmen who picked off Haynes King. There's a lot of young guys on this team that are just growing and learning, especially on the offensive side of the ball. When you look at Kate Klubnik himself, a sophomore quarterback, you look at Tyler Brown, the guy who just had the amazing one-handed catch. He's just a true freshman. Obviously, you got 2 juniors at running back. We had some injuries on the offensive line. Things didn't really come together there the way you'd like. There's been some young guys that had to play there. Harris Sewell, a freshman. There's a lot of, pieces that are going to be here for 2 or 3 more years that are making plays now and making plays in that Georgia Tech game. So again, I think they could say, like you said, it probably didn't come together to gel as quickly as everybody wanted it to, but as long as it does late in the season, you have a nice little run to end it here. You go into the offseason with a little more optimism. You can point to those last 2 games, say this is what we're going to be, and then you try to take that as kind of a jumping off point. And I think obviously at 4-4, you're wondering what that jumping off point was going to be, but I think these last 2 weeks you've kind of seen what it can be.
John Blau from the Post and Courier covers the Clemson Tiger football program, joins us here every Monday to talk football on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Talk to me a little bit about Cade Klubnik in this game. Obviously, there have been questions about his efficiency, questions about the turnovers, as you mentioned a little bit this week. Kind of looked like maybe did they scale back the offense for Cade? Was it a matter of the offense opened up and so there wasn't quite as much pressure? Because he looked much more comfortable in this game than he has in weeks past, maybe even including the Notre Dame game.
Yeah, I don't know if they scaled back the offense much. It was actually interesting yesterday on Dabo Sweeney's conference call with the media. He was asked if there were less run-pass options, RPOs, because it looked like it was just kind of direct reads or whatever. But actually, no, that's what Dabo said, that those were RPOs. He was just making really sound decisions and making them quickly. He had those options, and he was just picking the right option a lot faster. And I would just say from watching it, he seems a lot more in sync, especially with Bo Collins, just kind of hitting him in stride. That Jake Briningstool touchdown, I know some people were questioning whether that's a little bit of a dangerous throw, kind of threw that into a window that was barely there. But Dabo Sweeney said that as well. We want him to let it rip. I'd rather say whoa than go. I want him to take those chances. He was really kind of just in rhythm. And even I think that one of the best parts was, you're worried with that right foot, which is heavily taped. He didn't have much, called runs in this game, and definitely they were completely off the table against Notre Dame. But he was able to move around a little bit, scramble. I mean, I remember that 3rd and 18 where he picks up 17 yards. sets up a 4th and 1 that Will Shipley picks up, and then Shipley goes 32 yards for a touchdown. Klubnik seemed to be able to move around a little bit, be able to kind of extend plays and make plays that way. At the end of the day, I think it was 68% completion, 4 touchdowns, 205 yards. I think that's pretty good outing for the sophomore. I think, again, key is that the running game was able to balance him out, support him. I think as long as you get that running game going, that simplifies things. It kind of puts the defense in a tough position. Kate Klubnik is then able to capitalize. If you're not running the ball, it puts a little bit too much weight on his shoulders, and I think the weight was off against Georgia Tech, and he played well.
I don't disagree. We talked about Phil Maffa having 36 carries against Notre Dame. We said, look, can't do that, but you do get Will Shipley back. I thought they utilized Shipley in a great way. They didn't overextend him coming back from that couple of weeks off after the head injury from NC State. He gets 11 carries, but he goes for 77 yards and a touchdown. Maffa still got the majority of the work, 17 for 96. And the most important stat of the day, 0 fumbles from either one of those two cats. You also got Quadzilla in there. Dominic Thomas, he got a handful of carries. Keith Adams Jr. got a couple of carries as well. To me, when Garrett Riley showed up and he said, look, it's not an air raid, we call it a dirt raid because we want to be very balanced. To be able to run the ball 44 times, still have Cade throw it 34, pile up 260 yards on the ground, it feels to me like now the weapons have developed, and that allows Garrett Riley to kind of get the most out of the offensive play calling.
Yeah, and I think that's more actually the offensive line even than it is the running backs or Kate Klubnik, et cetera, because I think it's just, again, those injuries to Walker Parks, obviously a senior right guard, a very experienced player next to Will Putnam, that hurts. And then Marcus Tate goes down left guard, but we actually saw the depth kind of improve in this game. Mitchell Mays is a guy who had been struggling, a senior guard. I mean, they kind of moved him to right tackle for a little bit as the second stringer there because he just wasn't really quite getting it. And he had some really good reps at right guard, rotating with Harris Sewell. And Colin Sadler is a redshirt freshman, plays mostly offensive tackle, have been rotating with Tristan Lee there, but they move him to left guard. So he played some really good snaps next to Tristan Lee there as well. So I think they've kind of gotten the offensive line together. They're playing a little bit better, a little bit cleaner. And that, again, opens up lanes for Phil Maffa and Will Shipley. And I know that, Dabo Sweeney was talking about Shipley, saying that he was probably a little mad the last week because people seem to have forgotten about him after what Phil Maffa did. And he wanted to play. He was really hungry to play. And again, he showed that he was ready. I mean, that 32-yard touchdown was electric. That was a really big play in the game. And obviously the offensive line has a lot to do with that. But I think that, the running backs as well are seeing the holes and they're making plays. And this obviously, again, like we were saying, it takes a lot of pressure off of Kate Klubnik.
John Blau joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. So looking at this win against, by the way, and let me ask you this, just for the context of the conversation, I really like Brent Key. I really like what he's doing there at Georgia Tech, and you hit the nail on the head. The scoreboard says 42-21. Realistically, this was a 42-7 game. I don't think there are a lot of people, based on the legacy of Georgia Tech over the years, John, that realize just how big and how dominant of a win that this was, in my opinion. Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, I mean, this is a Georgia Tech team that was averaging 465 yards per game coming into this one. Haynes King was an absolutely dynamic player, not just with his arm, but I mean, he had 90 yards in the UNC game, and he was a guy who was averaging 10 yards to carry with his legs. And so I think it was 91 points against Virginia and North Carolina. And to hold them to, like you said, 7 points realistically with your first stringers, to 112 yards with your first stringers, and they only really get going once you pull those guys off the field. I mean, that's a really, really good win. I mean, this is not the Georgia Tech team that Clemson played in the opener in 2022. This is a much better squad. They've had some wins over top 25 teams. They're moving in the right direction, and to build off of that Notre Dame win, which obviously was a very emotional win, to come in and still be focused enough to limit that ground game with Georgia Tech. Another stat, they had run for 300 plus yards in back-to-back games to kind of really pin down that offense the way they did. That was really impressive from a defense that has played well all year, just hasn't had the support of the offense. But you got that complementary football going, and to get a really big win.
John Blau from the Post and Courier. Last one, John, before we let you go. After the NC State loss, we knew Clemson needed to win 2 of their final 4 to be bowl eligible. And with Notre Dame, Georgia Tech, North Carolina, and South Carolina, there was definitely a feeling that it was kind of a 50-50 shot. But Clemson doesn't just come out and dominate the last 2 games over Notre Dame and Georgia Tech, but they go ahead and lock up the 2 they needed instantly. Now they've got North Carolina, a team that got taken to the brink by the Duke Blue Devils. South Carolina went off against Vanderbilt. Yes, it's just Vanderbilt, but South Carolina's offense got rolling. How do you like the Tigers to maybe finish out with a couple of wins and get to an 8-4 season?
Right. And again, that's what I was saying early. Can't say the narrative's changed completely because, I mean, these are 2 teams that you could have trouble with. I mean, Drake May obviously could be the number 1 overall pick in the coming NFL draft. I mean, their secondary better be ready, and they had a bunch of young guys in there this last week. So, I think Clemson, the way they've been playing defensively, and now that they've got a little bit of momentum going offensively, you like the odds better in that game, but that's still going to be a really tough one, just knowing what Drake May is capable of. And then South Carolina, gave you fits last year at home. Now you got to go on the road and play Shane Rattler again, a guy who's capable on a given Saturday of throwing up 300 yards and making some really, NFL level throws. So I think you like where Clemson is sitting just because of the last 2 results, and you think they got a little bit of momentum going here. But you can't take anything for granted that these are not guaranteed wins. But if you get them, it sends you to a much better bowl game. And like we were saying earlier, it gives you a lot of momentum going into the offseason. So a good chance, but obviously have to execute to win those games.
John Blau covers the Clemson Tigers for the Post and Courier. You can follow him on Twitter at John, JON_Blau, BLAU. John, my man, great to have you on, buddy. Appreciate the time as always. We'll talk to you next week, big dog.
Sounds good. Thanks, Rob.
You got it. John Blau from the Post and Courier. We got to run to a break after this. Incredibly executed sports flash from the great one. We're back for the final hour of the Rob Brown Show after this.
It was a big weekend for college football in the Palmetto State as South Carolina defeats Vanderbilt 47-6. Furman defeats VMI 37-3. And yeah, Clemson won too. Clemson defeats Georgia Tech 42-21. Texas A&M will pay Jimbo Fisher more than $75 million to not coach its football team after firing him yesterday. Fisher was in control of the program since leaving Florida State in 2017. The NFL was full of surprises yesterday. Texans rookie quarterback C.J. Stroud outdueled Joe Burrow with 356 yards and a touchdown and a 30-27 win over the Bengals. Brock Purdy got the better of Trevor Lawrence in a 34-3 49ers win over Jacksonville. Lawrence threw for just 185 yards, 2 picks, and no touchdowns. We are your home for Furman football. Tune in Saturday morning at 10:30 as the Paladins take on the Wofford Terriers in the final game of the regular season, starting at noon right here on The Fan. It's not starting at noon. It's starting at 10:30. Why did I do that? I don't know why I did that. Hopefully I dumped to myself. Yes, I did just dump myself for saying something wrong. I had to dump myself.
You had to dump yourself?
Yeah, because I had a time and then I read the wrong time at the end. I didn't. I think I got it.
Is that a first?
What, dumping myself?
Yeah.
No.
What was the last one?
I don't remember. I mean, if I mess up and say a time wrong, I can usually get that, which is what I tried to do. Don't keep track of mistakes. I mean, come on, dude. 5 minutes ago. I did triple noob myself Saturday, though.
Triple?
Yeah, it was a bad day. But I'm sick, and I had to run the show, and I just, yeah. Fox got me once, which is the classic. It gets everybody.
Yep.
And then I did a couple things.
carnival rides, and even a petting zoo and pony corral. Upstate Holiday Lights sounds great for the family. How do you get tickets? You can get info and buy tickets and fast passes at upstatelights.com. We went last year and the kids loved it. It's a Christmas tradition. I'm taking my family to Upstate Holiday Lights.
We need to. It's going to be really hard for me to do, but we still need to. We've got Mannheim Steamroller tickets to give away.
I don't think I got anything about that.
You should have.
I don't get anything about that.
You did. It was like a couple weeks ago or something like that.
I just searched my email. Would it come from Roy?
Yeah. I will.
I got Trans-Siberian. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, my bad.
Okay.
Again. Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It didn't click in my head.
They are similar.
No,
so
100%. If you're going to get two bands confused, those are.
and we're getting ready to
absolutely
probably run Mannheim again on
Yeah.
Word like we usually do the night before Christmas, all the way through Christmas. And we're trying to figure out if we have to put the things in by hand.
No, if you're going to confuse two, those are the two to confuse. Yeah.
Oops.
2 tickets.
Paradise.
Won't you pack your bags? We leave tonight.
Yes. Most ticket winners will win tickets to the 8 p.m., but is not guaranteed. Exact performance time assignment may vary winner to winner and is the sole discretion of the station. So saith the copy. Let's try to do that. No, you got Gables. I guess I can try to do it while you're doing your live. By the way, you got Gables in first break.
10-4. Nope, not today. I was gonna go for it.
Yeah, I didn't think so. I was trying to stay away from it, but I thought I'd give it just one go there.
No,
Okay.
not today, boss. Woo! I don't even know if I'm pull that off. To be honest with you, definitely can't pull that off.
Feel me? For real. Do you feel him, sir?
I do. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the fourth and final, the best of the money hour of the Rob Brown Show.
I got one you can do. Yeet.
Yeet.
There we go.
I got that. Got that in the back pocket. Welcome in, folks. Final 60 of the Rob Brown Show gets fired up now. I am Rob Brown. Over on the other side of the metaphorical glass is the guy in charge of not just this radio program, but every radio program that you like, and exactly 0 of the ones that you don't. It is the great Malonzo.
Nope.
Just killing the game over there. Just killing the game.
Hey, we're in a home stretch here. I don't know why. I mean, we're good. I mean, we still got work to do after, but, I can.
Yeah, but the work to do after requires us just sitting in the fortress of nerditude, clipping audio, which
I don't have to worry about accidentally sneezing on everything and you. So, yeah.
Fortunately, we in this case, fortunately, we do face opposite directions.
We do. Yes, we do.
I got a lot to get to in this hour of the radio broadcast, but you know what we have not done yet? What we have yet to discuss, what we have yet to talk about. Well, Jim Harbaugh stayed at home this weekend as the most recent development of CSI Ann Arbor played out. I told you last week that I said on Thursday, as a matter of fact, I said, hey, look, if there is going to be a punishment brought down by the Big Ten, it's going to be likely on Thursday, maybe on Friday. And there was a reason for that. And the reason was they weren't going to create a situation where Michigan was going to get hammered without a head coach against both Penn State and Ohio State. And after the after the Thursday moment passed, I was like, all right, maybe it happens on Friday. Probably not, but maybe it happens on Friday, because I did not think the Big Ten would honestly want Michigan to have to play both of their two big games, Penn State and Ohio State, without Jim Harbaugh. And if they were going to have Jim Harbaugh sit for one of the two, it'd be Penn State, not Ohio State. But I honestly can't think that they would set up a situation where Michigan has to play Penn State and has zero time to prepare for what the sidelines are going to look like and feel like without Captain Khakis on the sideline. And then the suspension dropped, and it was
Sorry.
That's fine.
I was waiting for that exact moment.
I respect it. Then Captain Khakis got hit with a indefinite suspension. Suspended indefinitely. Harbaugh caught an indefinite suspension that was going to keep him out against Penn State, against Maryland, and against Ohio State.
Yeah!
That's the one I knew you were going to play. Yeah! I knew it when I said it. I'm like, Lonzo is going to drop so many LA Knights right here. So many yas on that. So, this is really interesting, and here's why. Because remember, the protocol suspension for the B1G. The protocol suspension for the B1G was a 2-gamer for breaking the sportsmanship clause of the Big Ten's rule books, right? It was a 2-gamer. That is the default suspension. And they went 3-gamer. Now, it may not end up being the whole 3 games, because in the rush to defend Jim Harbaugh, Michigan had said, hey, look, here's the deal. We are taking this to court, dudes. We are taking this to court. We will see you in court. We are going to get our defense attorneys into the courtroom to hold you off. So this is not done. This is far from done. We're going to have litigation. The question is, how long does that take, right?
All right, normally I don't, but Keegan's right. This is a breaking news. Mississippi State fired Zach Arnett.
Yeah, I saw that a minute ago. I hate it. It disgusts me. It makes me sick. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Zach Arnett should not get canned. That dude stepped into an impossible situation in the passing of Mike Leach. And they're not even going to. There's 2 more games, dude. There's 2 more. Let the man finish the season and say farewell on his terms.
See, I disagree. And I think Michigan should do the same thing. Go ahead and fire Jim. Yeah, that's his name.
Yeah!
All right, we'll come back to Zach Arnett here in a minute. So, Harbaugh catches a 3-gamer, which says to me, in the face of Michigan threatening multi-levels of legal action.
Didn't they see the 10-page letter that we sent? I mean, why is this still happening? We sent a 10-page letter.
Yeah, they said they did send a 10-page letter that said, we're going to take you to court if you hit Jim Harbaugh with the suspension. And they did it anyway. And here's why I'm very interested. I'm interested because if the Big Ten saw the 10-page letter from Michigan that insisted that they would jump to legal action if there was a suspension in place, that says to me, Zo, that they got him. They got him dead to rights. They would not come through with this suspension with the NCAA investigation still in play if they did not have Jim Harbaugh dead to rights. They have got an email chain, a paper chain. They have got a testimony from somebody that directly links Connor Stallions and his illegal electronic sign stealing
Maybe they got
to the BMOC.
Maybe, and this would be great. Maybe we got a rat. Maybe Connor Stallions is gone rat and is now getting some immunity of some kind.
Hey, NCAA. Listen, I'm not saying I know something. I'm not saying I don't. I'm just saying if perchance there was a way that my name would not come up in any potential legal ramifications, I may or may not have some inside information that would be useful to that investigation. Text me. My number is 555. Keep it on the DL. You understand? So, I don't know if they got a rat. Here's the more likely outcome, Lonzo. It turns out, and this happens all the time, I've got a brother who does this stuff for a living. Do you know where most of the hard evidence against the criminal comes from? The criminal, because they're dumb. Yeah. Somebody who is willing to so openly, blatantly violate the rules and do so in a way that is traceable via Venmo. You could have Western Unioned this dude and kept your butt off the frying pan. That would have been a better move, but he's just openly Venmoing dudes who then straight up, they're like, hey, did you get this money for Connor for tickets? And they're like, yeah, I totally did that. My bet is more than likely. My bet is
Jim Harbaugh bought Connor Stallions a cheeseburger
and a tattoo. My bet is there's just an email. Hey, coach, got the cell phone video from my dude down in Tennessee. And here's all the things that I learned from watching the cell phone video that I got from my dude down in Tennessee.
And you find out that Connor Stallions is actually teaching a course at Michigan for, how to steal signs.
Surveillance and intelligence. I love this. All right. So what this says to me, and again, this is speculation, but I feel like it's a pretty good direction we're headed in. What this says to me after a 10-page letter from Michigan saying, hey, Big Ten, if you suspend Harbaugh, we will sue the we will sue the out of you. Is that the Big Ten went, yeah, no, that's 100% fine. And on top of that, if they believe the Big Ten or the Michigan is going to sue the pants off of them, they're just going to sit on that evidence. They're not going to reveal it. They're just going to sit on it. They're going to go, okay, if we need to bring this forward into court, we will. Otherwise, we're just going to pass it on to the NCAA, and they can bring the hammer down if they need to, right? They bring a postseason ban down or whatever the case might be. It kind of is what it is, man. I think the Big Ten has evidence now. That's the only conclusion I can draw from this. The fact that they overstepped the protocol suspension, right? The fact that they overstepped the protocol suspension and went straight to an indefinite suspension that carried them through not just Penn State this past weekend, not a good, but certainly a bit of a dangerous Maryland team, and then sits him down for Michigan, Ohio State, a game which will dictate which of the two Big Ten teams will represent the conference in the college football playoffs. They skipped right over that, went to indefinite suspension, which, by the way, this doesn't necessarily hold up, but it does mean that unless the Big Ten comes down with some sort of finality to this, even if, let's say, Michigan does beat Ohio State without Jim Harbaugh, not only does Ryan Day get fired at that point.
All right, so I was thinking about this while you were. So I wonder in the eyes, the hearts, the minds of all Buckeye fans everywhere, since it's been thrown up on graphs and charts and everything about how Michigan couldn't beat Ohio State before the cheating scandal and how they've won 2 in a row. Does this lessen your thoughts about Ryan Day if he were to lose for a 3rd year in a row?
I mean, it doesn't to me, but I'm not the one that has any weight here, man.
I got to say, I don't know. I'm sitting there thinking about it. And yes, I'm not feeling well and a little muddled, but I think it's still inexcusable, even though they cheated. You can't be losing to Michigan, and you definitely can't be losing to Michigan 3 years in a row. You have all the fuel on your side. That crowd is going to be going nuts, and you've got to come out of there with a victory.
We're going to circle around to this,
Even if Jimmy boy ain't there.
We got 2 weeks till this game. And the ramifications on Ohio State are certainly right there. Like, Ohio State has to win this game now, right? Now, as I pointed out on our Saturday show,
the integrity of college football is in the hands of Ohio State.
Ryan Day.
Yes.
As I said on my show on Saturday on Bet for the Cycle, which airs every Saturday from noon to 4 on the BetQL Network and Fine Odyssey stations everywhere. At the end of the day, Jim Harbaugh can still coach the team on weekdays and practices, right? He can still coach the team in practice. So realistically speaking, as Jim Harbaugh is not he is on the chain, but he's not the primary play caller, to my understanding. It really shouldn't change up too much about Michigan's game days on Saturdays, right? It shouldn't change up too much. But obviously it's going to have some level of an impact. So the fact that the Big Ten knows that, the fact that the Big Ten knows this, and the fact that the Big Ten still overstepped their main protocol tells me that they absolutely have some kind of hard evidence against Michigan, against Jim Harbaugh. They've got some kind of hard evidence. Because remember, the defense was what? Connor Stallions said Jim Harbaugh and the coaching staff did not know nor instruct anyone to do anything illegal.
That's so laughable. I mean, okay, so how did they learn about the signs then? I'm talking about the players and stuff. Did the other coaches go, you know what? We've got a meeting right now.
Well, I think
and Connor's going to entertain you with shadow puppets.
I mean, the most realistic outcome here is Connor Stallions could just say, I was watching game film and I just watched the coaches, right? Because trying to steal signs via game film is not illegal. That is not against the rules.
But the implementation of what you know is.
No, it's not.
So once he finds all this stuff out, how is he conveying it to the players? Is he conveying it through the coaches?
None of that's illegal. If the signs are stolen in person or from game film, it is totally legitimate.
All right. So isn't it up to the coaches above him to ask him how he got them?
No, I wouldn't. Plausible deniability, right? I would if I got a guy.
No, I mean, that's what they're going with right now, and I'm not buying it.
Well, of course not.
This has I get Scarlet and Gray and all that kind of stuff because I have a bunch of it, but it just from a logical standpoint, it just doesn't make sense.
If I've got a guy who's coming to me and he goes, look, here's the deal, coach. I'm an ex-military guy. I'm really good at decoding stuff. I watched Indiana's game film from last week because, again, coaches send each other film all the time. Programs send each other film. You get the film of their game, right? I watched Indiana's game film last night, and I figured out that this hand sign means this, and this signal means this. And when they hold up a sign that's got a red dog on it, when they hold up a sign that has Clifford on it, that means this play. And that's what I learned from watching the game film. I'm not going to press that guy any further. Did you really, Connor? Connor, did you get it from Connor? Tell me the truth. You'll be more in trouble if I find out later you were lying to me. No, you're going to go, dope, sweet, cool, good eye, big dog. Here's next week's game, Ohio State's game film. See if you can figure out something there. So I think plausible deniability. There we go. I can do this. I think plausible deniability was absolutely in play. And that is why I think this punishment is as big of a deal as it is, because them overstepping the 2-game suspension and going straight to 3 says to me they did get the hard evidence. Not just that the signs were stolen. We already know that. Not just that there was in-person scouting. We already know that. The reason this is a big deal is because in spite of all those things we already knew, it felt like there was some level of plausible deniability for Jim Harbaugh to say, yeah, he had the signs, but I didn't know he was illegally obtaining them. I didn't know he was getting them illegally. It turns out he was, but I didn't know that. The Big Ten dropping the elbow down on Michigan here tells me that they got him. They have got some sort of direct evidence that proves that Jim Harbaugh knew that he was stealing those signs, knew that they were obtained illegally, and went ahead and rolled on anyway. That's what it says to me. So we're going to find out. Stay tuned for for tomorrow's episode of CSI Ann Arbor. This is wild, dude. This is so good. Anyway, didn't need him. You know what? I'm going to play that. I have to play it. Let me get clip 2. Can I tell you how quickly I jumped off the Michigan bandwagon? I'm so tired. They went into the old attic. They grabbed the clip 2, Sherrone Moore, the interim head coach for Michigan. They went into the attic. They got out the boxes that had the free Harbaugh shirts on them, shirts that were already made from the beginning of this season when Harbaugh was suspended. They didn't even have to blow dust off the boxes. They weren't up there that long. After the win over Penn State, Sherrone Moore, who was the interim coach for Michigan, got asked on the sideline, Coach, you're obviously emotional right now. What are your thoughts? And he went with this.
I want to thank the Lord. I want to thank Coach Harbaugh. Love you, man. Love the out of you, man. This is for you. For this university, the president, our AD. We got the best players, best university, best alumni in the country. Love you guys. These guys right here, man. These guys did it. Man. Talk to him, man. Love you.
Thank you, Coach.
Of course, he handed it over to Blake Corum, who had himself a freaking day. What did he go for? 900 rushing yards and 22 touchdowns. What a day for Blake Corum. They threw the ball twice in the second half. Stupid numbers. But is it me, or am I just a jerk for hearing that and being like, oh, God, shut up?
All I hear is you're crying, you're whining, but you're complicit in cheating. So, I mean, okay, whatever, dude.
Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh, I love you, man. These kids out here they played hard as, and I'm so proud of these kids. Just stop, dude.
I'm glad you thanked the Lord first, you potty mouth.
I don't care, dude. I don't care. Like, whatever. Joey B said either Harbaugh told Stallions to do it or he is so incompetent that Stallions to run this entire operation without him knowing, which is lack of institutional control. I love the lack of institutional control. That's been so much fun. They got something on Harbaugh now. They got something on him now. There's no way they go indefinite suspension with Michigan sitting at number 2 in the country without having some hard evidence on him. We'll find out. Check in for tomorrow's episode.
They're 3 in the country in the thing that matters. And maybe they drop a little bit this week.
Get him, Lonzo. Get him.
They got to drop to 4 before next week.
All right, we're going to take a break. We got to come back. We got one fun segment left. We've got the what the X is going on at the end. I mean, we're just racking up great moments in radio history here. I'm Rob. He's Lonzo. You are you and amazing. It's the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, quick live read. They're coming right back. Don't go anywhere. All right, folks. Thanks for hanging out. I will be watching that immediately. SEC Shorts does such a good job, man. They really do a good job.
Yeah, Roger and Dabo cried after Tyler. So, I mean, there's a lot of crying going on. Depends on what you consider crying. Oh. Feed your face.
Imagine if you could charge your electric vehicle at the places you already love to eat, shop, and play. Whether you're at movies, on your grocery trip, or running errands at your local mall, Volta EV charging
Saw a ton of electric bicycle ads yesterday. I forget what I was watching. It was some football game. And it's like, okay, this just a moped, right? Except it's an electric moped. I mean, it looks like a regular bike, and they're still pedaling, but it's electric.
I've seen those. People are downtown with them.
It's just a moped. I wonder how
Yeah,
fast
I
it
like
goes.
that it gives you the option to do both.
Well, a moped did too.
No, mopeds didn't have pedals.
No, the old mopeds did.
Oh.
The first ones?
I like these
Back in my
because-
day.
I like these because the pedaling actually charges the battery back up.
Oh, does it? Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's that's why I think they're legit. This might be the most oh yeah, Alonzo's here today so far. My man is over here playing like a champion, playing through injury today. Slapped the sign on the door in the way in and is just bringing it. Now, because he is doing such a wonderful, wonderful job today, I, ladies and gentlemen, am going to give Lonzo a gift. The gift of relentless optimism. Now, ordinarily on the show, I'm a realist. And realists can often be confused with pessimists because very frequently things are bad. And realists address the bad. And we address the bad because the bad's what need to be addressed. You don't need to address the good. It's already good. You don't make anything better by addressing the good. If something is good and you address the good, it's time that is wasted that you could be addressing the bad and making the bad good. And if more of the bad becomes good, then you're gooderer. And we all want to be gooderer. So here's a little relentless optimism here as I break the mold. USA Today reported over the weekend that as the Panthers made their way towards the trade deadline, a trade deadline in which the Panthers did not do anything. It turns out that they were trying, at least according to reports from the USA Today. USA Today reported that the Carolina Panthers made a run at not one, but two number one wide receivers. According to USA Today, the Panthers put in calls about both Davante Adams and T. Higgins. Now, these, let's be real, would have been weird pickups. The Panthers were not.
I don't believe the T. Higgins thing because, you know, they don't get Clemson players.
They don't draft Clemson players. They'll take anybody. But according to a number of players, a number of reports, Carolina Panthers general manager Scott Fitterer made calls for both of those players to try to move them into Charlotte before the deadline. David Newton of ESPN wrote in his column from Thursday of last week, quote, they went after the Bengals, Higgins, and elite receiver Davante Adams of the Raiders before the trade deadline, according to an NFL front office source with knowledge of the discussions, but neither team was willing to deal. Now, again, it would have made for a very interesting acquisition because you would have come off a lot of money for guys that would have not by themselves moved Carolina into a playoff position. We also found out over the weekend that apparently David Tepper has been unhappy. That apparently David Tepper has been taking some runs at the team, at the offense. In fact, there is a video going around of David Tepper, related-ish, up at HQ this past weekend, where somebody said to Tep as he was walking out of the practice facility, hey, Tep, you know the fans are upset, yeah, right? I tried to find this audio before we came on the air this morning, and I just couldn't dig it up in time.
You mean the audio that I sent you on X?
Yes.
That audio?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Is it still in my inbox? That would be amazing.
Well, I'm sure it is as soon as I figure out how to get back to where I needed to.
Now I just got to see if I can find it.
Well, if you can't, I can, because
there's Britt Baker and friend of the show, Tony Schiavone. That's pretty cool.
I could have swore I sent it. I guess.
Oh, yeah, he did. Here it is. I got it. All right. So David Tepper was outside of HQ and got told by a fan, hey, the fans are unhappy. And David Tepper said this.
If you're in the basement right now tweeting, come out of the basement, come upstairs, and get in the light of day.
His wife had to pull him away.
Yup.
If you look at the video, because he was going to keep talking. I think maybe he could. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he had been enjoying the afternoon. I don't know. I'm just thinking possibly.
There is a possibility that Dave Tepper may have thrown down a highball or two in the office before he came out to talk to the fans.
I'm speculating because he seemed to be. I don't know.
I'll tell you what I think it was.
When he had to be pulled away by your spouse, I don't know.
I'll tell you what I think it is. David Tepper has Jerry Jones-itis. Jerry Jones-itis is a ruthless disease.
By the way, the laughter is ridiculous and so fake. I mean, it was high class laughter. That's what it was. It's oh, Muffy, did you hear that? That was so funny.
Thurston Howell III. David Tepper dropped a, hey, if you're complaining about this team, you're a
dork.
You big
dork.
Come out of the basement.
Dork.
Stop tweeting.
Dork.
Stop blogging.
Dork.
Stop complaining.
Dork.
Come to a game.
Dork.
Give me money.
Dork. Dork.
And I hate it. He's got Jerry Jones-itis. Jerry Jones-itis is a nasty infection, which causes you to believe that you're the smartest guy in every room that you walk into, and you're never wrong. You're just never wrong. You never make a mistake. You're always right. And you kind of got to have that attitude to become a billionaire, especially the self-made kind. You kind of got to have the attitude that you're a genius and everybody else is a
dork.
And Dave Tepper's got that. I think Tep is tired of hearing it. He's tired of hearing how this team is poorly constructed. This team is poorly put together. The roster is crap.
So he just went Dabo on everybody.
Yep.
That's what he did.
Yep. Exactly correct. Now, he's the owner, not the HC, so it's not going to get nearly the attention. But when he drops a
dork
on everybody out there, yes, it is because he is tired of people correctly going, hey, your team stinks. Your head coach stinks. Your roster stinks. Your franchise stinks. And at the end of the day, it's all on you, dude. You stink. And what's the fastest way to end an argument? Call somebody and talk junk about their mama, basically. Because, yes, Tep, the only guys complaining about your team are dorks in the basement tweeting. Definitely not guys like Rashad Beard with his 5K plus YouTube followers. Definitely not guys like me sitting on a two-time winner of the South Carolina Broadcasters Association Sports Talk Radio Show of the Year. Lonzo did all the hard work, but damn it, we got him. Definitely just dorks in their mom's basement tweeting. No, bro, it's not just dorks in their mom's basement tweeting. It's a lot of people that are real unhappy with this team and feel like you are wasting the first round pick that you spent so much money getting.
I'm curious about something. I didn't think about this till just now. I wonder if Rashad's March had already happened. And maybe this was a direct response to that.
That's a real good question. That's a real
because
good question.
it got some attention in the media, in the Charlotte media. I saw something tweeted about it.
It should.
Yeah, so maybe that's what that was about.
It should. Apparently not. Let's see. No, they moved it. They canceled it because there was a children's event at Bank of America Stadium on the same day, and they did not want to cause any problems for the children's event at Bank because Rashad is a dude. That's a bro move right there. Listen, We need to march about the franchise and the position that it's in right now, which is terrible, but we don't want to disrupt a children's event at the stadium. So we're going to move it to another day. Mucho respect to Rashad and Dave and the fellas of Panther Nation Podcast. That's a bro move. I respect that. That's a bro move. Anyway, all that aside, Tep can come out and say that I'm a dork all he wants to. But I'm not. Rashad's not. And all the people that are hitting us up on Twitter aren't. These aren't dorks in their mom's basement, Tep. They are people who are giving you money. What the hell is it with people in power positions just absolutely taking a dump on the people who give them money for their programs? What is with that? Maybe because I'm not in that position, I just can't understand. Maybe it's because you can get away with calling them dorks and calling them bandwagon fans and bad fans. Like, maybe all of that is stuff that you can only learn being in that position. But I cannot understand a world where people like Shane Beamer can call their fans miserable, where people like Dabo can call their fans bandwagoners and complainers, and where people like David Tepper can call the fans dorks in their mom's basement, the people who fund the program by investing in your program, and just expect that there's not going to be any kickback. Dude, you have built a franchise that, congratulations, Atlanta Falcons, you lost to the worst team in the NFL, and now the Panthers have the #1 overall. Oh, I'm sorry. No, they don't, because that pick belongs to Chicago. But yes, Tep, it's only the dorks who were out there complaining that you are wasting a #1 overall draft pick and quarterback by surrounding him with one of the worst rosters in the National Football League, by bringing in a quarterback whisperer of a coach who is not doing that at all. No, great job. It's definitely the dorks that are the problem. It's definitely the keyboard warriors, not the people who have the ability to control the roster. This is a you problem, my guy. This is not the dorks. This is the people you are charging thousands of dollars a year to buy season tickets to watch your franchise play football. You're the one with roster control, not the dorks in their mom's basement. You dork. Let's take a break. We'll come back, wrap up this show. I am Rob Brown, the Great Malonzo's on the ones and twos. Oh, that's a good call, Zoe. Before we go to a break, we would like to give you the opportunity to go see one of, and I mean this, I've seen them twice now, my favorite holiday concert every year, Trans-Siberian Orchestra. This year, their Ghost of Christmas Eve tour comes right here to the Well. Saturday, November 18th. We have got a pair of tickets for you right now. So if you would like to get the holiday season started by seeing one of my favorite holiday concerts every year, TSO, you can do it right now by being caller number 5. Caller number 5 right now, winning a pair of tickets to go see Trans-Siberian Orchestra this Saturday, November 18th at the Well. Caller number 5 to 844-326-3663, 844-326-3663. Caller number 5 going to see them. We're back after this on the Rob Brown Show. We're back after this on the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, we're going to step away so Lonzo can answer the phone and get some information. We'll be back in just a minute to wrap up the show. Don't go anywhere. Congratulations to friend of the show and P1 Tiger pal Rachel. She won the tickets to go see TSO this Saturday evening at the Bon Score Wellness Arena. I saw that show the last 2 years running. Love it. It's a blast.
Yeah,
man.
I saw it last year. It was real good. That was my first time. I've been here forever, and that was the first time I actually went.
Freaking rock and roll show, dude.
It is. But watching people trying to walk up and down the stairs during the show with the way the lights are going.
Almost as good as the show.
Almost.
Yeah, almost as good as the show. Real quick before we get to Twitter trending topics, I have to tell you, Zoe, yesterday I accomplished a lifelong dream. I've told you guys for a number of years that I have been to 100 plus Major League Baseball games in my life. Most of them Atlanta Braves games. I've been to games at Miami. I've been to games at where else? Tampa, at the Box. Been to a game at Houston. Been to a game in Colorado years ago when I was a cheering. Been to a lot of games. Never caught a baseball, foul or home run. Never caught one. I've also been to far fewer, but I don't know, 12 and a half NHL games. And I feel like catching a puck at a pro game is even more rare than baseball, obviously, right?
You didn't catch it with your face, did you?
No, fortunately, because I am here. So that's evidence. Yesterday, I got a call from the Greenville Swamp Rabbits. For those of you that don't know, I am the in-arena host for the majority of the Swamp Rabbits home games. Yesterday, I got a call right before the game, and they're like, hey, we got you coming in for hosting. Do you mind doing the PA? Could you be the PA announcer? You know the PA announcer.
And now starting.
Yeah, I'll do that. Sure, of course. Ice seats, rink seats. Yeah, I'm doing that. I'm right on the glass. Best seat in the house, right? Yeah, I'm absolutely in. And so I got the opportunity to be the PA announcer yesterday. Cody, who does a spectacular job. If you've been to a Swamp Rabbits game, you know his voice. He's got an iconic PA guy voice. Cody was out under the weather. And so they're like, can you move into the box and do it? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. Be happy to. And so I was sitting in the box, mid-third period. Zoe, it happened. Mid-third period, I'm in the box. Swamp Rabbits down a goal on the power play. Opportunity to score. They're playing the Florida Everblades. Puck gets cleared into the Florida zone. Ice Rabbits on the skate to attack. Florida guy gets his stick on it and just turns to send it back down the rink, right? Like you're on the penalty kill. That's the goal. Just send it down to the other end. Make them waste 10, 15, 20 seconds going down there, picking up the puck, bringing it back into the zone, yada, yada. Florida guy goes to clear it. He wings it. It goes up into the air. As I look up, I see the puck, Zoe, and I'm like, dude, that's coming to me. That's coming to me. Now, I've been in situations before where I've thought a puck or a baseball was coming to me and it ends up flying over my head or it lands short or whatever. This one, I'm like, this is coming to me. I'm in the box. I'm on the ice. This is going to drop right over the side of the glass. I got this. In comes the puck, flies towards the box. Zoe one-handed it out of the air, caught it on the fly, ended up with it. I got to tell you, my hand hurt like, but I walked out of there with that puck. It's on the desk in the office. First one I have ever snagged out of midair at any sporting event. Ladies and gentlemen, lifelong dream accomplished.
I'm going to drink a lot of beer tonight, Jim. Budweiser.
And now the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter.
Congratulations, left hand or right hand?
Right hand.
Oh.
It was back into the right. Like I'm a right-hander, so I'm used to catching with left hand.
That's why I was
basically
asking.
But
Yeah.
it was back and right, and I was in the chair, so I kind of had to like rock back. But I got it like here before I brought it down.
You did the NFL catch.
Oh yeah, well, Odell'd it.
Oh,
Odell'd
good
it.
job.
Oh hell, Odell.
All right.
We're gonna get you. We got to get through this.
All right. The first.
I need you for a minute and a half.
The first thing it's Xing is Eddie Guerrero.
I saw Eddie trending earlier, which means it's either birthday or anniversary of the day we lost him. Eddie Guerrero.
18 years ago today.
18 years ago. Eddie Guerrero was GOAT level, man. He was just GOAT level. The one of my favorite moments of wrestling all time was when he threw the chair. Oh, who was it? He was it? And now I'm blanking on who it was. He threw the chair.
Was it Angle? I know
I
I
think
did
it was,
something with Angle, but I
it
don't
was
know.
either Angle or that guy we don't talk about anymore. One of the two. But he brought a chair in the ring, threw it to the other dude, then threw himself down on the ground. And I remember seeing that as a kid. Like, this is the greatest wrestler of all time.
All right, the next thing it's axing, and probably the last one we have time for, is Sudafed.
Is this trending, or is this a thing that you
no,
need in
and
your life right now?
Mucinex and a bunch of other medications. They're trending because the FDA has declared that they don't work.
The FDA has declared the
the
work?
antihistamine or whatever, it doesn't help with sinus problems.
Really?
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
I obviously now am going to go get a medical degree. This is interesting. According to Ryan Marino, who is according to his Twitter bio, human doctor who studies toxicology, Sudafed and others were found to be ineffective and likely to have OTC status removed. Wow. Very interesting. That's it for us, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all have a great rest of your day. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you back here tomorrow to do it all over again, but better on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate later. Yeah.
So I need to look and see if the medicine that Lisa got me yesterday actually has the stuff in it that they say doesn't work. I don't know. I never thought Mucinex worked. I tried that a couple of times. I never did anything.
All right. As much as we love all of you, I'm
that's
glad I waited till we fell apart.
Yeah, that's funny, Joe. But no. That's why that stuff's behind the counter now.
Good joke, Joey B. Real good joke. Real good joke.
I got it. I got what you were doing. Yeah.
I'm going home. Thanks for watching. You're all spectacular people. We appreciate your time, consideration, love. We'll see you back here tomorrow, probably. Maybe. We'll see.
Maybe.
Bye.